Luigi Mangione. Investigation discrepancy. Gay gaming later with Kingdom Come. Trash TV reacts is back. Get in it now. Is the Drewski show coming out today? Is the new episode of the Drewski show coming out today, chat? There's a viral puppy mountain in China that deadass looks like Kaya. Oh shit, show me. Kingdom, I'm gonna come. What is this? A Southwest Airlines jet was forced to abort its landing this morning after a private jet taxied in front of it across the runway at Midway Airport in Chicago. Whatever the guy from the real world was doing with the FAA has got to stop. Bro, you want to know something crazy? It's not the in terms of the Drewski thing. By the way, if you want a better chat overlay for this OBS scene, you can do a Control Alt N on Chatterino and it pops out a nice transparent overlay. Huh. Wait, what? Control Alt N? Chatterino overlay. I don't like this. I like it. I don't like the change. I don't like change. Change is not great. The song, why are people so mean to you in your own chat? I don't get it. What the fuck? We're just ribbing on each other, dude. It's just, that's it. This is the vibes in this community. We're not, here's the puppy mountain. We're not, like, this isn't coming out of a place of hatred, if that makes sense. We're just having fun. Sometimes chatters do take it a little too far and get annoying, but that's all it is, you know? I guess maybe from the outside, from an outsider's perspective, you're like, that's crazy. These guys are being so mean to you, but it's all good. It's from a place of love. I am hating lovingly. Fuck you, Ben Chod. Nah, we hate you for real. You're a dumb little nerd with a stinky little haircut. That's hurtful. That's hurtful. Why you gotta be hurtful like that? What is this? Wow. Okay, this is amazing. I want to do this. He should have put his hands down as though he was like actually driving so people would think he's the one doing it. You know what I mean? Do that in your Taycan. Yeah, I'm good. I don't want to. First of all, those are very specific cars with very specific tires. Okay? There is no way that I'm bringing my car. I think, like, from what I understand, was T-Pain there and he brought his, like, apparently T-Pain has like a $3 million Koenigsegg or something. I didn't even know. And he just kind of busted it out and was just running laps on the track out of nowhere. But I mean, he's just like that. He's him, dude. He's literally him. It's so sick. And apparently he has a drift car as well. Wow. $3 million car. Yes, he bought it and it was delivered that day. Oh, damn. That shit's sick. But yeah, you can't just like, chat, for those of you who don't know, you can't just like you can't drift in a normal car like this. Okay. I think a lot of you have watched movies and you think you can do that, but this car is tuned up specifically so it can drift.
I guess, you know? Oh, he nailed it! Yeah! I know that feels good! What the fuck?
Oh my God, he's so cool. Maybe you can't. I can in my Miata. I know I can't do that and would not attempt. Man, my shitbox 04 Corolla drifts just fine. What you on about? Chat is talking about hitting ice and then being like, oh, you're stupid. Yeah, weight and distribution are really important for that. Yeah, I don't know the exact details. I just know that you can't do it on a normal car. If you try to do it on a normal car, you would break the car or you would flip it or you'd have to get new tires regardless. Rear wheel, lock differential, especially with my Taycan, the wheels are like this slim because the rims are so large. Even though that is built for hitting the track, I don't think you could drift in that. I feel like I would melt it. I'd be eating into the rim. Chatters be like, I don't get it. I do this in the snow every year. Pro, drift your Porsche heavy and you'll stop getting criticism. I don't think I'll ever stop getting criticism. But I have done this with Nick before. We went to the track before. It was an incredible time. It was one of the few instances where I just remember feeling alive, if that makes sense. Like, it certainly unlocked something in me that I killed very quickly and never felt that way again. Puppy Mountain photo drives onlookers to a Chinese riverside. Oh my God, it does look like Kaya laying down. What the frick? That's crazy. We were so mad that day also. Yeah, it was, what was happening that day? I think it was like some Israel related stuff was popping off too. Oh, it was Piers Morgan. I was on Piers Morgan that morning. Yeah. Man, how time flies by, baby. Piers Morgan and the Wi-Fi in the hotel. Oh yeah. No, it was like right after Israel was blowing Gaza to smithereens. Come to China to visit? I want to. Don't worry. We'll figure it out. They're calling you Turkish Luigi? Bisexual commentator Hassan Piker continues showing solidarity with Luigi Mangione following his most recent court hearing. Yes. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Wasn't it in Vegas? I remember you said you didn't really enjoy it because it was soon after October 7 and you had a lot on your mind. Yeah, no, but I did enjoy it. In the moment, it felt spectacular. It's definitely an incredible experience. If you ever have the opportunity to do so, I highly recommend it. Getting on the track. The adrenaline. I'm not like an adrenaline junkie at all, but it was fantastic. Elon impression going viral. I'm repulsed by how accurate it is. Oh, I think I saw this, but I skipped it. All right. Anyway, Abbott wants to rename KFC to Texas Fried Chicken after they move their headquarters. What the hell? Themasius, thank you for the playlist. We'll get into it. U.S. breaks with European allies and sides with Russia and UN resolutions on Ukraine. BBC News. We'll obviously be talking about that as well. Did you see Andrew Feinstein complimenting your content? I did. This is incredible. I thought this was so sick. I reposted it this morning. But yeah, let's get started with this. I think it was Lil Bear that said we want to. Oh, I can bring him on as well. I think I'm going to do that.
Hassan.
Oh, great. Yeah.
I gotta show you something. Inspired me to start doing the thing that I'm doing.
You do not give a single shit about Palestinians, and it's so unimaginably cruel that you could just turn around and use Palestinians as you champion their death and destruction as a simple talking point in an effort to cope for the dog campaign that your candidate of choice ran.
Wow.
What do you think?
Jeez, that's powerful. You know what I love most about it? Is how those articles flashed up under him.
So like that was edited, right? So he's not always able to do that on stream, but often he does. Often he will make a conscious effort to pull up the article that he's talking about and say, here are the facts. Call it an industrial complex is the joke inside the community of people who take his content and then will upload it in a more digestible way to YouTube, to TikTok, to Instagram.
Jeez, that's brilliant.
And provide sources and context, you know? Yeah.
I mean, he's so eloquent. Look, I know that was edited and everything.
Yeah.
Eloquent, smart, but I love the fact that he's actually concerned about verifying what he's saying.
Yeah.
Jeez, that's impressive.
Well,
that is very impressive.
Get you in touch with him if you want.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Andrew Feinstein is a former member of the National Assembly of South Africa. He is obviously, you have the contact. You have contact with him through me. Yes, I would love to have him on. He's great. He's an activist. Yeah. Andrew Joseph Feinstein is a South African former politician, activist, filmmaker, campaigner, and author, now based in London, who specializes in the investigation of the arms trade and the corruption that accompanies it. He is the executive director of a small nonprofit, Shadow World Investigations, and serves on the board of Declassified UK. The son of a Holocaust survivor, Feinstein was the first MP to introduce a motion on the Holocaust in the South African Parliament. Feinstein was elected in South Africa's first democratic elections following the abolition of the apartheid, serving as a member of parliament from 1994 to 2001 as a member of the ruling ANC party. He's the GOAT. In 2001, in a protest against the ANC's refusal to investigate the allegations of huge bribes and large-scale corruption against senior ANC politicians arising from the $5 billion arms deal, he resigned his parliamentary seat and moved to London, where he works as an investigative author and a campaigner. On first arriving in London, he worked in investment banking for more than 5 years. Former member of the UK Labour Party, Feinstein is highly critical of Keir Starmer and the direction Labour has taken under Starmer's leadership. Feinstein has lived in Starmer's constituency in Holborn since 2001 and has criticized Starmer for being terrible on Gaza and stood against Starmer in the 2024 general election, winning second place with 7,000 votes. He commented that Keir Starmer is the first British prime minister in electoral history to enter 10 Downing Street, having seen his majority reduced. Yeah, he doesn't like Kid Starver. He literally had to move to London because he was going to be arrested by Jacob Zuma. Keir is terrible on a lot of subjects, actually, not just Gaza. Yeah, Andrew just doesn't like Keir because it's Keir Stalin time. He really liked your passion and cursing. He kept complimenting your attitude. No, what is happening? That's crazy. That's crazy. It's crazy time over here. Down. Don't even. It's Keir Stalin time, baby. But yeah, that's really cool. I love seeing, you know, people who have put their lives on the line and have engaged in real activism and are basically historical figures in their own right encounter my content and be like, this is great. I mean, I'm honored. I'm honored. Anyway, Kai just wants to stretch your little legs, you hot dictator. No. Anyway, she ran a lot this morning. Yeah, but that's just because he doesn't know about all the interpersonal internet content creator drama you're embroiled in. If he knew that, he surely would have changed his tune. Yeah, obviously, I don't think he would care about that. That's a good joke. But I know you probably get accused of creating an echo chamber or whatever, but you bringing pro-Palestine voices is really nice. As a reminder, I'm not insane and the only one around me who isn't a Zionist. Yeah, excuse me? What is happening? No. Want to go outside? Do you have diarrhea butt again? Is that what's popping? Is it diarrhea butt time? Are you going to poop in here? Have you seen this popular TikTok song? People are loving it. Oh, I like this one. I saw it already. Hold on. I'm going to set her free because I don't want her ass to be pooping in here. Okay?
I look at the McDonald's in the Pentagon. Yeah, there's not a bunch of spots for lunch, but it's a killer kickback. Flipping up the Big Mac, serve them in the Pentagon. Serve them in the Pentagon. The other vendors came and went there. It did not go well for Taco Bell, and there was all that stress at the old Panda Express. So stick with us in your set. Our cooking center straight from corporate. It'll be like any other location, except no small talk about your occupation. Not allowed at the McDonald's in the Pentagon. Repeating nuggets, we put plenty. And our faces flush through every rush. The beast gets so discordant, but your work is so important. Working at the Pentagon. I'm an employee at the Pentagon. Working at the Pentagon. All the DoorDash drivers get confused, cause users blew through the clues, didn't peruse the reviews. Cause like, you just got to check on McDonald's, not checking which one that you spent it on. Bitch, you hit the Pentagon.
It's great. I love a little ska hit, you know what I mean? I love a little ska arrangement to start my day off. You know what I'm saying? All right, let's get to it. Now that we've seen the McDonald's, now that the McDonald's and the Pentagon has been hit, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to talk about American foreign policy, everyone's favorite subject matter, America's foreign policy and the belligerent nature of the Trump administration. What will happen to the United States of America? You got Nick Twitch. Thank you for the raid. Hope you had a good stream, brother. We are talking about American foreign policy and the brutally honest ways in which Donald Trump operates, but also simultaneously the insane ways that Donald Trump operates. As you guys know, yesterday when I started the live stream, I was hit like the Pentagon, like the McDonald's in the Pentagon, with a truth bomb, okay? A truth nuke coming from the Trump administration. Where they oftentimes there are a lot of these symbolic condemnation votes that take place in the General Assembly, and the American government did something that I never thought would happen, where basically they turned around and said, "Hey, we're siding with Russia on this condemnation of Russia's invasion of Ukraine," which I thought was wild. It does seem like they are trying to, piece together, like the Trump administration of Russia are trying to piece together some semblance of like mineral extraction arrangement. Obviously, Ukrainian sovereignty is not a point of contention here. Let's be real. It never was. But of course, when I say that, people used to yell at me and say, Hassan, you're, in the pocket of Lottie Poo. That's not how America operates. And I was like, nope, that's exactly how America operates. Guess what? That is precisely how America is operating. It's not unique to Donald Trump. He's just doing things optically differently. That's it. He does not care about trying to massage the narrative and try to make you feel like this is something that you actually wanted in the way that previous administrations certainly did. They still yell at you for that. What do you mean? I know they do, but it's all good. They can keep yelling into the void as much as they want to, but it won't change the reality. Let's continue. Yeah, guess which country voted against the motion with the U.S.? Russia, North Korea, etc. Oh, yeah, Israel. Of course, Israel voted for the motion alongside the United States of America. Come on now. What do you think? Israel is America. Like, yeah, they don't. What do you mean?
His changing stance on the war in Ukraine has been highlighted at the United Nations, where its UN envoy voted twice alongside Russia First, the two countries opposed a European-drafted resolution condemning Moscow's actions and supporting Ukraine's territorial integrity. Then they backed a US resolution calling for an end to the conflict but containing no criticism of Russia. It comes as the French President Emmanuel Macron says a truce between Ukraine and Russia could be agreed in the coming weeks following talks with President Trump in the White House amidst straining US-Europe relations. He is the first European leader to visit since Trump's inauguration, ahead of the arrival of the UK Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer on Thursday. Meanwhile, in France, 2 people have been arrested in relation to an arson attack on the Russian consulate in Marseille on Monday. Prosecutors called the pair major individuals. In Ukraine, air raid alerts have been sounded again today. Overnight, Poland deployed aircraft to secure its airspace after Russia launched strikes targeting western Ukraine. The BBC's Joe Inwood reports.
In northern Ukraine, new troops are still.
This is just a flex. This is Israel stuff, for the record. Like, what Russia is doing is exactly what Israel stuff. The notion that, like, in the midst of a potential ceasefire negotiation that's taken place, Donald Trump is undermining the Ukrainian position in broad daylight, actively, openly. And also, while that is happening, the Russians are simultaneously bombing Western Ukrainian positions. It's basically to tell everyone in Ukraine that's paying attention, whether they want to pay attention or not, that this is their reality, that they are, they weren't able to take the entirety of the country by force, but they will certainly cut a deal with America that allows them to take certain parts of the country, whether people disagree with that or not. That's it.
Being trained, even as the war enters its 4th year. The cost has been huge, but this country appears to be holding on. It's done so through the effort of men like Evhen, who says Ukraine is making more of its own weapons and will continue to do so.
It's good to get help from abroad. Help won't last forever. It's here today, it might be gone tomorrow.
And that point has been brought home by the dramatic change in US policy. Once Ukraine's greatest ally,
Zelensky sucking up to Israel got a sting now? Dude, he is not a person, okay? Like, when, I don't know how to describe this. Zelensky has to suck up to Israel. It's not because of, like, it's not because of genuinely held convictions or whatever. He has to, because he is beholden to American interests. He has to do that. Oh God, my ear is ringing. Zelensky has no choice in this process. Israel quite literally refused to give Ukraine. Israel quite literally refused to give Ukraine the Iron Dome when Zelensky was demanding it, when Zelensky was asking for it, begging for it, which is the most understandable thing that you would want in a situation like the Russian invasion. At least to, like, protect certain areas like Kyiv. You know what I mean? I know that, like, the Iron Dome only works in small fields and smaller areas, but, like, you could at least deploy Iron Domes in places like Kyiv or even Western Ukraine. Nope. Israel said nope. We will not let it get to the hands of the Russians, and then by way of the Russians, the Iranians. That was Israel's response. Zelensky was begging for dome pause. Yeah. It is truly wild that, after all of this, there's still people that are maintaining this false notion that America has any sort of, like, real interest in defending Ukraine.
Donald Trump has started repeating Moscow lies about Kyiv starting the war. And so yesterday's visit...
I'm actually curious, is Zelensky a Nazi? Like, does he run a Nazi party? Dog, Zelensky is Jewish. No, he's not a Nazi. What?
French President Emmanuel Macron.
I guess you could be Jewish and a Nazi, but Zelensky is not. Zelensky's a dancer. He's a comedian. Erdogan is a watermelon salesman, and Zelensky is a comedian.
To the White House had extra significance.
Again, the relationship's been very special with France and very special with this gentleman on my right.
They've always got on well, but there were points of disagreement.
Europe is loaning the money to Ukraine. They get their money back.
No, in fact, to be frank, we paid 60% of the total effort, and it was through, like the US, loans, guarantee, grants, and we provided real money, to be clear.
And that was not the only crack in the transatlantic alliance.
We need to
real money, to be clear,
that the aggression should be condemned and discredited, not rewarded.
In an extraordinary development at the UN, European countries and the US found themselves backing different resolutions on Ukraine, with America on the same side as Russia, Belarus, and North Korea. While in Kyiv, Ukraine's remaining allies took part in events to commemorate 3 years of war, and talks aimed at ensuring the sacrifices they've made will not have been in vain. Joe Inwood, BBC News.
Well, our Ukraine correspondent James Waterhouse gave more details about the reaction from Kyiv to the talks between Macron and Trump.
Well, we've had no specific reaction to a meeting between Emmanuel Macron and Donald Trump here. Instead, the focus has been on Ukraine's...
MAGA is accidentally becoming communist? Okay, guys, Russia, I need to repeat this for people that don't know this, but Russia is not communist, okay? Russia, as a nation state, is very capitalist, okay? It's not. Vladimir Putin is not a socialist, okay? Russia is not engaging in any action to uphold the principles of Marxist-Leninism. Russia is a kleptocracy, okay? They're commies, Hassan, he's Krasnov, yeah. Donald Trump, I mean, the DPRK is not even communist, like, at least in terms of how their election process works. They don't have any, they're not necessarily the most democratic People's Republic of Korea. I would say they're closer to a socialist form of governance than Russia, certainly. Russia is just a kleptocracy. But anyway, whatever. This is completely irrelevant. USA is already a kleptocracy too. Yes, you're not wrong. I lived in Russia for 3 months. It is not communist by any means anymore. It is a fascist state where the media against the government is completely suppressed and has a capitalist economic system. It's run by oligarchs and a kleptocracy, like you said. Yeah, I mean, it's a shitty circumstance for all the Russian people living there, but it is literally a kleptocracy. Anyway, none of that matters in this instance, because ultimately, irredentist action or imperialist action from any nation that violates the sovereignty of another is completely unacceptable. It does not matter if it's Russia doing it. It does not matter if it's America doing it. This has been my firmly held commitment and principle in perpetuity. Okay? Having said that, of course, people will make up their own minds regardless. Yeah, it's the same. No, it's China as well. Yes, this also extends to China as well. Okay? It is completely unacceptable to violate the sovereignty of other nations. Okay? Having said that, getting back to the situation at hand. We're obviously entering a very... Putin's main opposition party is communists who have collectives, many local industries since the fall, but still hold little power on the national stage. Ukraine has made anything left of center illegal. They both suck. Yeah, okay. First of all, Putin's main opposition party is communist is a laughable thing to mention, considering that Putin controls even the opposition parties, so their existence is still beholden to Vladimir Putin. And that's precisely the reason why virtually every single one of them signed off on the special military operation. And there was very little criticism of that inside of Russia. Putin and opposition it's nothing. It's not real. Okay? It's not real. It's not a real principled opposition at all. That's not a real thing at all. It's just to make you feel like there's some semblance of democracy. But I would say even Russians would laugh at that notion. It's not real at all. I think that internally within the Politburo, within the Politburo of the Communist Party of China, there is more division and more real opposition, even though it's a one-party structure. Internally, there's more division and more opposition than the Russian structure, where all of the opposition is basically made up. Yeah, if you are really an opposing figure, you just find yourself maybe falling out of a window at some points. And you're not wrong about Zelensky also obviously going and eradicating any of the parties that were critical of him, at least to the left, claiming that they are pro-Putin and pro-Russia. So you're not wrong about that either. Yes, neither Ukraine nor Russia has like a real democratic process, but neither does the United States of America. Let's be real. If it's a sliding scale, however, I would say Putin's Russia is not even comparable in terms of like a sliding scale of how far away you are from a real democracy. It's definitely out there. It's further out there than the United States of America, and certainly further out there than even Ukraine. Anyway.
Own rallying cry to its remaining allies as America throws the gauntlet down, really, challenges Europe to try and step up where it is less willing to do so. We're going to see Sir Keir Starmer follow suit, where he will visit Donald Trump in the White House to try and bridge a widening gap between Europe and America. So here, instead, we have seen a continuation, really, of military pledges, an announcement of new sanctions against Russia by the likes of the European Union, and I think it's a departure from the alignment we're seeing, certainly with the United Nations votes we've seen, with the softening of language from Washington.
If you don't think Russia is further away from being a democracy than the USA, I'm sorry, but you are completely oblivious to how things work, both here in the United States of America and also in Russia as well. Like, no disrespect, but the remainder of the American institutions, okay, and even certain principles like free speech, born out of America's status as the global hegemonic superpower, have absolutely created some semblance of democratic democratic structures in this country that Russians don't have. Having said that, it doesn't matter. America, pound for pound, is still obviously awful and does a metric ton of evil around the globe. But come on, that's an entirely separate thing. When you're saying like USA is doing a genocide at the moment, yeah, I agree with you. You're not wrong about that at all. But we're talking about the sliding scale of like theoretical democracy and which countries are closer to theoretical democracy versus others. I don't think America is that close to a theoretical democracy either, but I'm saying that it's not even in the same playing field as Russia. I promise you, if it was, and it can become closer to Russia, and it most likely will become closer to Russia in terms of being undemocratic very soon. But you'll know when we get there. Yeah, we were talking about like domestic politics and like what's close to a democratic process, not which country is doing more evil. America, of course, is doing the most violence around the globe. It has the greatest capabilities of doing said violence around the globe.
Washington, here we are still seeing a country still at war, and its European allies trying to adopt as strong a stance as possible in the absence of America. But what's reflected, I think, by Emmanuel Macron and Sir Keir Starmer going to Washington is the fact that they still need America for a military assurance if fighting was to break out after a ceasefire was agreed here. But for
the beautiful domes, look at the domes behind them. It's so flat. Ukraine is so flat. You can see the domes.
Now, it seems that more of Ukraine's closer allies are more willing to put boots on the ground, to send troops here to enforce some kind of ceasefire. At the moment, they're keen to stress it wouldn't be in a confrontational capacity, but there is no guarantee that fighting would not break out when you consider that Russia will continue, it looks like, to occupy a fifth of Ukraine, and that would involve a sizable military presence.
James Waterhouse there. Well, joining me now is political commentator, author and journalist Christine Ockrent. Thanks for being with us, Christine. It was fascinating to watch the public interactions yesterday with Macron and Trump. Just first of all, what did you make of the overall, the body language, the precise language from what we saw?
Well, I think there was some effort on both sides to make it look, fairly friendly. No hostile confrontation. But it is obvious that the transatlantic gap is widening, and there was that very interesting moment where Donald Trump, as usual, being carried away by his alternative facts, said, Europeans are getting their money back from Ukraine. And then Macron very calmly put his hand on Trump's arm and said, well, no, actually, no. Europeans paid 60% of the aid provided to.
Oh my God, I don't care.
Alongside with Russia, Iran.
Okay, I'm skipping this. All right. Breaking. Elon Musk will attend Trump's first cabinet meeting because he's the real shadow president. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Ukraine is cooked. Both Russia and the West are going to carve up the country and turn it into a financial colony for the sole purpose of extracting wealth and resources from the people that remain. My family and so many other Ukrainians have no desire to return, and I don't blame them. Yeah, no, I mean, that was slated to happen no matter what. It's a chicken or the egg situation. Is it Russia was it Russia trying to enforce its will upon Ukrainian politics first, or was it NGOs and civil society organizations by way of the State Department projecting power in Ukraine and trying to destabilize and bring Ukraine into the Western sphere of influence? It does not matter. What matters is ultimately that the Ukrainian people are going to get fucked over in the process no matter what. And there was very little that they could do to maintain sovereignty, autonomy, and carve a path forward for themselves where they had any say in their own personal politics. Devastating situation. Speaking of chicken or the egg, it is virtually impossible to find eggs now. Holy shit. But that's, Trump's America, baby. You already know.
Is Elon Musk going to attend the president's first cabinet meeting tomorrow?
He is, as a matter of fact. I spoke to the president about that before coming down here as well. And Elon, considering he is working alongside the president and our cabinet secretaries, this entire administration will be in attendance tomorrow just to talk about DOJ's efforts and how all of the cabinet secretaries are identifying waste, fraud, and abuse at their respective agencies. We look forward to
Okay. A Justice Adams cheered with 100 bits, and I have to read this. Trump is behaving exactly as Putin, even repeating his claim on Ukraine as Ukraine started the war, as if he's Putin's robotic follower. How can an independent American president do that? Yes, no real independent American president can do it. Only a Russian spy will do that. We have an illegitimate Russian spy as our president, installed by our presidents Obama and Biden, their attorney generals, national security advisors, CIA, FBI, and DNI directors. It's called Krasnov, baby. It's called Krasnov. That's right. KGB agent. KGB agent Donald Trump. His real name, code name Krasnov. Suka blyat, he's killing America. Love that is like, dude, I get it. Okay, listen, liberals, listen to me. This is your opportunity. Okay, the Russiagate stuff in 2016, there was real reason to suspect that there was Russian interference in the election. We know that there was, to a certain degree, Russian interference in terms of like ad campaigns and whatnot. But if a couple $1 million of targeted ads is supposed to undermine your democracy, well, then you didn't really have a democracy to begin with. Holy moly. Having said that, however, okay, liberals went above and beyond in terms of like why Hillary Clinton lost, and they wanted to not blame themselves again, so they blamed Russia, right? This moment is the moment where liberals can basically turn around and say, yeah, you know what? We were freaking right. It wasn't even a P-tape. He is ideologically a commie. He is a KGB asset. Because Trump is doing a lot of stuff, even optically, that I would not suspect him to do. Okay? He is. So resist this, liberals. You're eating good, okay? You're eating good. This is your moment. Say whatever you want to say. Yes, Krasnov, KGB, Trump is a Russian asset. I'm there with you. I don't agree, but I think it's fun. It's fun to think that is the truth. Yeah. Oh, here it is. Look. Donald Trump was recruited by the KGB in 1987 and goes by the nickname Krasnov. 40,000 likes, 3.1 million views. Okay. In 1987, I worked in the 6th Department of the KGB at the USSR in Moscow. The most important area of work in the 6th Department was the acquisition of spies and sources of information from among businessmen of capitalist countries. It was in that year that our department recruited a 40-year-old businessman from the USA, Donald Trump, nicknamed Krasnov. Yeah, the author is a former top spy of Kazakhstan. Previously, he was a KGB spy. Scroll it down the original post. I love that. If Republicans can have fun, okay, claiming Barack Obama is a Kenyan Muslim man who is an Al-Qaeda operative for years and years, let the liberals have fun too. Okay, yeah, that's right. He's a communist agent, okay? Donald Trump, the billionaire real estate magnate, the son of a real estate magnate, he is actually secretly, he is not even secretly now, the truth is out there, an actual KGB asset, baby. I love that. I love that. This is the closest I've ever been to saying, you know what, liberals, you're right. Have your fun, okay? This is your moment to shine. I'm giving it to you, okay? You won't see me criticize this take. Now that it's been revealed that Trump has been a Russian asset for 40 years named Krasnov by the FSB, I will write simple thread of various pieces of information that solidifies the truth of everything I've written. Please read and share. Okay? That's right. Hold on. I got to find it really quickly. One second. What's the... Hold on. What's the, you're a KGB agent? No, I need like a good song for this. I need a good song to read this thread. And I'm looking for not red alert music, but I'm looking for like, you know, the accordion, electronic music that was the God, you guys are giving a lot of good, examples though. What is it? Like, not the GoldenEye theme. No, I'm looking for a song that's like not hard bass. No, kind of like the songs that play in that new DC show with the robot that kills on HBO Max, the robot that kills like Nazis. No. What is this? No, this is goofy. This is not what I'm looking for. And it's not Tripolowski. Yeah, like the GI robot music, like the type of, oh yeah, start wearing purple. This is what I was looking for. Thank you, chatter. Yes.
Start wearing purple,
Let me start.
Start wearing purple for me now.
Yes. Ivana's FBI files indicate she had a questionable origin story and was working with non-stock manipulators and Russian mob. Like mother, like daughter. I've speculated that mom and dad aren't the only Russian assets in the family. Ivanka spun in Putin's chair in 2006. Don Jr. and Ivanka traveled to Moscow. Trump asked Felix Sater, who he publicly stated he may not recognize if they were in a room together, to take care of them. Sater together arranged for a private tour of the Kremlin for Ivanka Jr., didn't join them for an unknown reason. Sater was able to gain access to Putin's office in the Kremlin, and Ivanka sat in Putin's desk chair and spun it around. Suka blyat! Sater has bragged about this on Twitter. His was Super Bowl Sunday. Wendy Deng Murdoch is a suspected Chinese spy who did Putin. And May Musk, of course, shit out the spawn of Satan. Puh! I love this because, like, while this person is explaining this, you can tell he's angrily typing this while he's, like, retelling this story in the thread. And that's why he keeps making these grammatical errors. We've been overtaken by transnational organized crime, the rise and rise of May Musk, China's love affair with Elon Musk's mother, Krasnov. But the sheer volume of Trump's financial intelligence in itself is a counterintelligence threat. Trump is Krasnov. I have nothing to do with Russia. No deals, no loans, no nothing. Russians make up a pretty disproportionate cross-section of a lot of our assets. We see a lot of money pouring in from Russia. Donald Trump Jr. Well, we don't rely on American banks. We have all the funding we need out of Russia. Eric Trump. I love this song. Look at that. Look at Gogo Bordello. Person said there are plenty of credible reporting on this by Sarah Kendzior about Trump's Russia connection. Yes, he's a businessman. Okay. What do you think? Finance capital is global. They don't care. They have no allegiances to countries and nations. Yes. Oh, by the way, Gogo Bordello is Ukrainian, from what I understand, right? Aren't they? They're Ukrainian. Yeah. I really like them. And it was cool to see them in the, Sarah Kendzior's a fucking moron going back to Ferguson rallies. Yeah, no, I know. It's funny that the people bring that up. Gogo Bordello is a Ukrainian-American gypsy punk band from New York. They're Romani They're Romani New Yorkers, lol. No, but they're like Ukrainian too, no? They're like from Ukraine. Yeah. The lead singer is super Ukrainian. Anyway, Creature Commandos uses a lot of this type of music, and it's awesome. And it just reminded me of it reminded me of what do you call it? It reminded me of my childhood when I used to listen to them. A friend of mine passed away a few years ago, introduced me to Gogol Bordello, R.I.P. Cat. The genre is called gypsy punk or G-word punk. Gizmo Max, me watching Pacific Rim in the current year, G-word danger. Fuck, he just said it. Yeah, G-word punk. Anyway, but yeah, it's pretty funny because like this is ridiculous. Like there is no evidence here on this Twitter thread whatsoever, and yet 103,000 likes. 103,000 likes. If you want to understand Trump's like deep and intricate financial ties to countries that would be considered foreign adversaries or foreign nations, for example, look to Saudi Arabia. Okay, Saudi Arabia basically dominates Donald Trump. They have it all. Saudi Arabia has Donald Trump by the balls. But that's, of course, different because, or even Israel as well, obviously. So that in and of itself is not something that liberals actually get mad about because they're technically considered allies. So they had evidence. What? Trump was literally on tape in this documentary. What is this?
As close as you could get to the most powerful man in the world. I really thought it was like a bromance made in heaven.
What conversations have you had with Lev Parnas?
Boy, was I wrong.
Lev Parnas! Hey, yo! My favorite thing about Russiagate was when they were investigating like bot accounts and stuff, they ended up, when they were investigating bot accounts from foreign nationals or like bot accounts linked back to foreign countries that were interested in manipulating the elections, there was another nation that was really involved, a nation that also is aligned with Russia, both secretly and openly. And that never gets brought up for some reason. I wonder which nation that was. Was it China? Nope. Nope, not China. A nation that engages in covert actions of influence and also overt actions of influence, as a matter of fact. New Zealand. Yeah, it was New Zealand. No, it wasn't Lebanon. And it wasn't Palestine either. But close. Who could it be? What country? What country engages in these sorts of things and then the media just kind of goes, "Oh, yeah, don't look at that. That's fine. Let's look at the other way."
We immigrated to the United States when I was 4 years old. While other kids were going to school, I was on the streets hustling.
Stop sneak dissing. I'm sneak dissing Israel. It was Israel. For those of you who don't know, it was Israel. Israel is the country that was doing that.
I was a salesman. We were invited to a huge fundraiser.
We were like 2 seats away from.
Bro, what are we doing? We're doing Lev Parnas memes in 2024? What the hell, dude? This is from 5 months ago. This is incredible. Friday, September 20th, MSNBC Films presents From Russia with Lev, executive produced by Rachel Maddow and directed by Billy Corgan. Featuring former Trump insider Lev Parnas, the new documentary pulls back the curtain on Ukraine scheme that got the former president impeached the first time. Incredible. We're bringing back all the greatest characters. And Lev posting is back. It's funny because Lev's son, Aaron Parnas, by the way, very pro-Israel, just going to point that out, of course, when they talk about like foreign interference from Russia. Lev Parnas' son, Aaron Parnas, is like popping on TikTok from what I understand.
Trump. And Lev said something, and instantly it was like no one else was in the room.
He wasn't a politician. He was a New York hustler, and we could relate.
This is a guy who's an immigrant who is in state of shock.
Wait, Billy Corgan? Billy Corgan made this? Wait, he's like Billy. Is he like a Russiagate lib? Billy Corbin is Cocaine Cowboys is awesome. Not Billy Corgan, Billy Corbin. This is weird.
Circle of the president. It was hilarious to see mafia kingpins, oligarchs interacting with all of these Republican congressmen and senators. All the president's putzes.
How is that weird? This is the American government. Like, you know what this is? This is like when we talk about like Paul Manafort, right? Paul Manafort, he worked with a lot of like brutal dictators. It's like, hello, yeah, That's every American consultant. Like, what are you talking about? What are we? This is why it's the strange process here is that both sides do a little bit of this where they'll point to one another and be like, oh, the Hunter Biden is trading favors and working for Burisma. And you know, telling Burisma that he has like insider access and that he can manipulate the American government because his dad is the vice president. Okay, how is that acceptable? And then like you look at Trump's children and you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, look at Jared Kushner. Even without Trump's children, look at Jared Kushner. Okay, why did he get billions of dollars from Saudi Arabia? Hello, and it's wrong across the board, but it's so funny that like Democrats would be like, I can't believe Paul Manafort has worked with all of these dictators. And it's like, okay, yeah. I mean, Democrats and Republicans alike oftentimes use sometimes the same consultants, but when it comes to foreign policy, we'll always do this stuff. It's not unique to Donald Trump. The only thing that's unique for Donald Trump is that he is silly about the way he doesn't even try to hide any of the misdealings.
How are these thugs meeting with our political leaders?
Trump's biggest nightmare was Joe Biden.
Let's go after Joe. Let's go after...
Yeah. He was really scared of Joe Biden, the king, the GOAT. Let's go after Joe Biden, they said.
Hunter.
And that is how I was recruited by Donald Trump and Rudy Giuliani to dig up dirt on Joe and Hunter Biden.
Trusting Lev to run around Ukraine, it's ridiculous. He's not qualified.
No guardrails, no oversight.
This is right out of a spy thriller.
This was a mission impossible, mission stupid. I don't know which one, but maybe both.
Lev Parnas was a key player.
Know nothing about him.
This wasn't a normal presidency.
I betrayed Ukraine. I betrayed America. I just hope one day I could say I'm sorry. I hope one day Hunter Biden could really forgive me. Hunter.
Yeah! Oh my, I betrayed, worst of all, I betrayed Ukraine. I betrayed America, but worst of all, I betrayed Hunter Biden. Hey, yo, fuck Hunter Biden, dude. Get the fuck out of here. Okay, now I'm fully invested in the other side. Yeah, no. Now I'm claiming that Hunter Biden actually did have motion. He was able to manipulate American Congress, Joe Biden, international leaders as well, in an effort to overthrow this corrupt prosecutor that was really coming down strong on Burisma. Okay, there's a 12-minute Hunter Biden sex scene in this movie. That's amazing. Oh yeah, no, I believe it now. I believe it now. Hunter Biden actually, he did the damn thing. He did it. He had so much motion. He was able to do it. We have to watch this movie, bro. I will not be watching that movie. Are you insane? Okay. Yeah. Trump is my GOAT. He's Krasnov. He's a KGB agent. He's actually restoring the USSR real quick. And also, he's restoring the USSR to its glory. He's also, listen, Hunter Biden was an expert on oil and gas as well as Amtrak. The dude is just a Renaissance man, all while smashing the largest crack rocks you've ever seen. Yeah, exactly. It was the crack. That's it. It was quite literally the crack cocaine that made him so good at his job. Okay? A lot of you don't understand. Why is the slavery and improper management in Tibet justification for Chinese imperialism while the reactionary ideals of Hamas, Hezbollah, Houthis are whitewashed? Why is the slavery and improper management in Tibet justification for Chinese imperialism? Okay. My friend, I need you to understand something. Okay? These are entirely separate things that you're talking about. I don't know why you paired them up together, but I will answer once again. The people's liberation, okay, has the people's in its name. It was the Tibetan serfs themselves that rose up against the feudal structure. In the process, monasteries were absolutely destroyed. This is completely unacceptable. Okay? But I think a lot of people that try to argue on this issue don't understand the ways in which Tibet existed under the Chinese rulership in perpetuity. Okay? Like, you're making it seem as though this was a forcible, like this was something that happened where like Tibetans themselves were not the ones who rose up against the Dalai Lama and the feudal structure that they had implemented, which previous Chinese administrations had not given a shit about. Okay? That's it. He only saw 7 years in Tibet. You make it seem as though it was a Han occupation of Tibet. I'm sorry, these Tibet Andes are so bad faith, man. Okay, maybe he's good faith, but annoying as shit. This isn't like Tibetan culture, okay? People always misattribute what I was talking about, where they're like, oh, Tibetans had a backwards culture. Like, no, they didn't have a backwards culture. The slaves did not want to be enslaved, okay? They did not want to exist under a feudal structure. That's it. They were the ones who were ready to rise up, and they did. And in that process, they destroyed the relics of the old, like the relics that were basically holding on to Tibetan culture, but the relics that were also simultaneously a symbol of their own oppression. This doesn't mean that like China gets to dominate Tibet or anything like that. I'm not saying that at all. And I think that there is warranted criticism in terms of like not allowing Tibetan culture and Tibetan language to exist, or some semblance of Hanification that has taken place, certainly. Okay? I'll that is warranted criticism against China. But if you're going to talk about like historically Chinese actions in Tibet, it wasn't done in the way that you think it was done. This is a bit of an arcane point, but one aspect of the emergence of capitalism that people don't often acknowledge is how I'm so glad this US talking points are going away. I don't think that they're going to go away. Yeah. And in terms of the reactionary ideals of Hamas, Hezbollah, and Houthis are whitewashed, this part of the process is also, this question in and of itself is also silly, okay? There's never been a moment where I have, quote unquote, whitewashed the reactionary elements within the organizational structure of Hamas, Hezbollah, or the Houthis, okay? As a matter of fact, I've talked extensively about all three of these different groups and the ways in which they operate domestically and the parts of their domestic operations that I do not agree with. Okay? Having said that, the reasons as to why Israel and American forces or Western forces are consistently dominating these people is not because they disagree with their domestic affairs. It's because they resist against Israel. Hamas was formed because of Israeli occupation. Hezbollah was formed in Lebanon because of, lo and behold, Israeli occupation. Okay? That's it. Everything else that you talk about in terms of them being like reactionary or Islamist fundamentalist is just a way to try and muddy the waters and maybe even justify the domination and death and destruction that Israel brings about all of these countries. Anyway, let's continue.
The meeting tomorrow, and I think you'll be hearing from the president and his cabinet where they're on campus tomorrow. I hope you guys are excited.
So some of those cabinet members...
Didn't the U.S. give the same excuse for invading the Middle East, that they were bringing freedom in an oppressed and undemocratic country? Yes, they did. Except the difference is, it's not like the average Iraqi citizen was like, oh, thank you for liberating us. That was just America saying that, okay? And that clearly didn't happen because there was a shit ton of resistance. I don't know why everybody always tries to be like, no, it's the same as like the British Empire operating in India, or it's the same exact way of America claiming that they're going into Afghanistan or Iraq to bring about Western democracy there. Okay, there is a difference. Like, the Chinese army was not capable of fucking dominating the entirety of Tibet. It wasn't the Chinese army that did this on its own. It wasn't even Mao's forces that liberated other parts of the country that were also comprised of KMT forces. It was literally their own fucking peasants that turned on them and were like, yeah, we actually want to abolish the existing feudal structure in China as well. It's always the same principle. We sent 40,000 troops to annex Tibet. Tibet is twice the size of France geographically. Care to take a guess why we didn't need too many soldiers? The same reason why Mao Zedong photos are in most Tibetan households today. Exactly. But, yeah, guess what, dude? People didn't like being fucking enslaved, okay? People didn't like being enslaved. They rose up. Do these freaks think Cuba aiding Angola was imperialism? I don't know. But even then, even with like the proximity, when you think about it, that would be in the liberal mind closer to the structure, closer to a concept of imperialism than even like the fucking PLA going into Tibet and working alongside the Tibetan resistance, Tibetan rebels. Chatter thinks if Tibet resistance, U.S. won't take the opportunity to fund them. It's the Tibet one is interesting because the CIA gave up on it under the Nixon regime. They were like, all right, we're done with this Tibet stuff. So I don't know why people hold on to this attitude when the American government basically gave up on it. They were like, yeah, we were funding the Dalai Lama, but I don't know. It's kind of a lost cause.
Were caught off guard by the email from
Nobody
Saturday.
was caught off guard.
A few departments said they were caught off guard. The FBI was, the DOJ was.
Did anonymous sources say that, or did the cabinet secretary say that?
The cabinet secretaries and others have said that they were not aware that this was happening. So I'm wondering, like, will there be a give and take tomorrow at the cabinet meeting? Is Elon Musk or the president open to any type of dialogue about who is actually in charge of the chain of command of these workers?
I would reject the premise of your question, Jeff. The cabinet secretaries have not said that. I know anonymous sources, probably career bureaucrats, have leaked that to many of you in this room. But as I said at the beginning of this press conference, everybody is working as one team, and the president respects the decisions of his cabinet secretaries to tell their staff, not to respond to that email because they did so out of interests of national security, and they don't want to obviously risk confidential information.
Musk has obviously been doing a lot of work. He's been working every day, and a lot of the time weekends. He is designated as a special government employee, which means that he can only work 130 days per year. Is the White House expecting him to limit his work to 130 days?
Wait, what is it? Did it F? I didn't. Wait, what is happening? It's not on my end. I don't understand. If it's effing, it's not on my end. It might be on the website. Like, it might be a Twitch server side issue because it's not on my end at all. I got bars. I think it was on the Twitch end. Yeah.
Days, or are you going to work around those rules? Do you want to see him extend beyond the 130
So today
days?
is February 25th, so I think we've been here about 35 days roughly. So ask me in another 100 days. Daniel.
Caroline, thank you. You opened up with a major announcement from Apple, $500 billion, 20,000 jobs, doubling its advanced manufacturing fund.
Yeah.
What does that signal that such a global brand would make what it called its largest ever spend commitment just a month into President Trump's second term? What does that signal about his economic vision for the country?
President Trump is a deal maker, and he has restored confidence in business leaders around this entire world. Apple is one of the largest companies on the face of the planet. They employ hundreds of thousands of Americans, but the president wants to see more Americans employed, more investments here in the United States of America. And this is another fulfillment of the president's campaign promises. I recall President Trump at his rallies on the campaign telling the world that if and when I am elected, America is going to be back, and we want your investments to be driven onshore. We want you to hire American workers, and you will have the lowest regulatory burden, the lowest tax cuts, and the president has already proven he's committed to slashing regulation. He's counting on Congress to implement those tax cuts, and so people are encouraged by the president's, again, as Tim Cook called it, they're bullish about American innovation because of the leadership of this president, and it's a stark contrast to the leadership of the previous administration, Joe Biden, who I don't think spent any time trying to recruit any investments or jobs here at home. Mary.
We're hearing from some Republicans who are voicing concerns about how these cuts are being carried out. Congressman McCormick, a Republican from Georgia, tells us he's worried it's too rapid for real people to adapt to. And he says he's concerned that it could come off as discompassionate, in his words, that it could risk undercutting the strong message that he feels you're trying to send about the need to cut government waste.
Well, I think that was one comment from one senator. And I think, as I cited in my opening remarks in the poll, the most important people are the American people. And 77% of Americans at home support a full investigation into the waste, fraud, and abuse that the federal government has been spending their tax dollars on. So that's the people the president cares about most, and that's why we're fulfilling this pledge. And again, it should come as no secret to anybody. The president campaigned on doing this.
The president yesterday said if you don't respond to this email, you will be fired or semi-fired. What does he mean by that?
Again, I've been asked to answer.
Yeah, what does that mean? What does it mean to be semi-fired? Can you explain to us what that means?
To this question 3 times now. It is
semi-fired,
but it's in the memo. The president again has entrusted his cabinet secretaries to oversee their workforce. That's why he nominated them to be cabinet secretaries, and so federal workers can be directed to their agency leadership.
Great, thanks, Caroline. I wanted to ask about a federal judge.
It's like a little pregnant. Yeah, you're just like semi-pregnant, or when you're semi-dead. You know.
Yesterday was saying that they didn't know who the Doge administrator was and was asking the lawyer for the administration who it was, and the lawyer responded, "I don't know the answer to that. Can you tell us who the administrator of Doge is?"
Again, I've been asked and answered this question. Elon Musk is overseeing Doge. No, Elon Musk is a special government employee, which I've also been asked and have answered that question as well. There are career officials at Doge. There are political appointees at Doge. I'm not going to reveal the name of that individual from this podium. I'm happy to follow up and provide that to you. But we've been incredibly transparent about the way that Doge is working.
We're going to begin with federal workers asking what the heck is going on, among other things they're saying, as they struggle to figure out what is happening with their jobs and make sense of what they're hearing from Elon Musk. Now, as you've heard, he has told them via social media to...
Yeah, you're right. This chatter is also correct. It is interesting, but all of this is named after a cryptocurrency scam, which makes this entire situation even funnier, I guess, if you're on the outside looking in and you think, well, America has destroyed my country, so fuck them. If that's your attitude, if you're living in the global south or whatever, it's probably a funny ride. Great stuff overall. The enshittification of the American government continues. Fantastic.
To send an email with 5 things they did last week, or else they will lose their jobs. But now they are fighting back with a lawsuit, and they're also showing up at town halls across the country, demanding that Congress stand up for them. Weijia Zhang is at the White House with more on the story. Weijia, good morning to you. People getting very frustrated and speaking up.
And the twists and turns keep coming, Gail. Good morning to you. Good morning to everyone. Elon Musk initially set a deadline of midnight last night for those federal workers to comply with his order to justify their jobs in writing. With just hours to go, Musk backtracked, telling staffers they now have more time. His moves are not only causing confusion, but anger.
President Trump praised Elon Musk for threatening to terminate federal workers who do not share 5 accomplishments from their week.
Everyone thought it was a pretty ingenious idea. We have to find out where these people are. Who are they?
But even Trump could not give a definitive explanation about the consequence of not complying.
And then if you don't answer, like you're sort of semi-fired or you're fired.
Hours before the midnight deadline, Musk posted on X, subject to the discretion of the president, they will be given another chance. Failure to respond a second time will result in termination. Then came further guidance from the Office of Personnel Management about the Monday night deadline, saying agency heads may exclude personnel from this expectation at their discretion, but also agencies should consider any appropriate actions regarding employees who fail to respond.
I want to let you know there's a legal and proper way to downsize government.
People are lashing out at their representatives in Congress, like Republican Mark Alford in Missouri at a town hall yesterday.
Elon Musk has contracts with the federal government.
I think one of the grossest aspects of this is that people just regularly choose not to recognize how little billionaires and CEOs in general do. And it's so annoying that it is the CEOs and billionaires that literally do nothing, like Elon Musk, okay? Elon Musk does so little that he fakes doing nothing by claiming that he's a top level, like highest ranked Path of Exile 2 player. Like that's how little people care about billionaires doing virtually fuck all on a daily basis, that you can basically claim falsely that all you do is play video games as a marketing strategy, okay? All he does is tweet all day. That's it. All he does is tweet all day, man. A list of 5 things Elon did, 140,000 likes. Dear Elon, here's what I did last week. Got blitzed on ketamine, ignored my children, tweeted 1,782 times, wore weird sunglasses inside, got humiliated by astronauts. Honestly, I think I should be fired for this, but that's your call. Best John. I mean, this is like, it's just, who needs a CEO? Not Intel. Its stock has soared this month without one. Yeah. He can openly get away with not doing anything Okay, regularly. He can just get away with not doing anything and people still eat that shit up. They lap it up. It blows my mind. It's those people that are turning around and telling you as a federal government employee that you're not doing enough. That's what makes me so mad.
But he is also, I think, doing an effective job.
After hearing from furious constituents last week,
A lot of this stuff will be litigated in court, right? Some of it.
Georgia GOP Congressman Rich McCormick now says there should be studies on the impact of mass firings.
If you want to talk about things I'm critical, I think we're just moving a little bit too fast.
I love that the Republicans that are also getting pushback at their town hall, so they have to go back and be like, maybe we're doing a bit much. Perhaps dismantling the administrative state isn't the best idea. You know, you kind of need those guys to make things work.
Robert McCabe, who was fired from the IRS, says he voted for Trump. Now he's stunned over how much power the president has.
I wasn't voting for a king. He has to answer to Congress.
What do you mean you weren't voting for a king? I still don't think this person should have been fired from his job at the IRS. But what did you think was going to happen? You voted for the party that literally said, you and others like you, 85,000 of you, have guns and you're going to go and steal people's trailer parks. They're going to do asset seizures. That's what, God damn, dude. I want to be principled and talk about the humanity of every single person, but some of these motherfuckers make it so hard. You voted for the party that kept saying your office, okay? The 85,000 armed IRS agents are coming to steal all of our money. You voted for that guy. Like, I get it. The Democrats suck, but like, God damn, dude. What the hell did you think was going to happen? Holy moly. What did you think was going to happen?
And that's my big question is where are our congressional leaders?
Where are they? I voted for him when Donald Trump said he'd be a dictator on day one. Okay. I thought to myself, that's my guy. I just didn't think he'd be dictating my job to be removed. I didn't realize that's what that meant.
McCabe says he feels for the federal workers who are agonizing over their futures.
I mean, it felt like we were going into a prison every day, just doing our death march, waiting for the hammer to drop.
Anger is not only starting to boil over at those congressional town halls, there have also been some other public displays of protest. Over the weekend, workers at Yosemite National Park hung an American flag upside down at the El Capitan rock formation. The traditional sign for distress was meant to draw attention.
Elon Musk of Doge.
Rancher who has voted for Trump 3 times shares concerns. Listen, I didn't understand. I thought USAID was doing gay shit. I didn't realize they were responsible for purchasing all my grain and shipping it to Somalia. It turns out the billions of dollars spent on USAID wasn't just on homosexual Marxism in Guatemala. A big part of it was purchasing my grain. All of a sudden, I got a $700,000 hole in my budget. Turns out it was aiding me as well.
Has another message for federal workers who don't respond to an email they received over the weekend asking them to justify their jobs or lose them. The deadline for that email was at midnight. But earlier today, the Office of Personnel Management said a response was, quote, not mandatory. And just before airtime, Musk posted this.
Like, the thing I'm the most jealous of always is the fact that Republicans get to do this. Like, they can just cause instability because any kind of trajectory change is going to cause instability. Okay. It's going to be a little chaotic in the interim, but Republicans get to do it for all of the worst reasons. Because if you think like, obviously changing the American healthcare structure and like the abolition of for-profit privatized health insurance is not going to be chaotic, you're wrong. Of course it's going to be chaotic, right? In the interim, there is going to be chaos, but it's for a good purpose, okay? It's for every American citizen getting health care. That's a good thing. Republicans get to do all of this shit, and they do it in the opposite direction, in a way that harms Americans. And they still get to do it. And they don't even get to suffer the repercussions instantly. I hate it. I'm jealous. I'm just genuinely jealous.
This. Quote, subject to the discretion of the president, they will be given another chance. Failure to respond a second time will result in termination. A month into the administration, Trump voters seem to be paying attention.
How does getting rid of useless government employees cause harm? Brother, the left can't stop appealing to emotions. Oh, my Lord, dude. Who are you arguing against? Oh, thank God we got hogs in here. Okay, do not ban this person. Okay. Useless government employees is a lie that was told to you. Okay? You just lapped it up because it's your guy saying the lie. If you had ever actually encountered my commentary while the Democrats were in charge, I, unlike many of my Republican counterparts, didn't allow the Democrats to just get away with lying, okay? I routinely criticize them, as I am criticizing the Republican Party right now. The difference between you and I, however, is that when your party, okay, when the party that you align with tells you something, you believe it. That's the problem. Politicians lie. Newsflash, okay? Yeah, if they were getting rid of useless government employees, you would be correct, okay? There would still be financial harm there, obviously, because the government should be a jobs program, okay? I always voted Democrat, homie. I don't care who you voted for, dumbass. You obviously believe what the fuck the Trump administration is saying. That is the problem. It doesn't matter if you voted Democrat or Republican. What matters is you obviously believe the propaganda. You believed it. You think that the government is currently getting rid of useless government employees. That is not the case, okay? Even if they were getting rid of useless government employees, there's obviously still an argument to be made about how we should have all of these jobs. We should have more jobs in the government, okay? The government should offer more jobs programs to American individuals. Everyone should have a job. But that's not the case anyway, because that's not how the American government operates regardless. We have consistently cut government employees, even though the population has increased year over year. That's why the peak of the government employees was in the 90s, okay? We've had a lower number of federal government employees since the 90s, despite the fact that our population has increased. The government jobs, on the other hand, have not increased alongside that, okay? When you say, oh, they're firing useless government employees, you're falling for the propaganda and the lies that the Republican administration is currently telling. That is precisely the reason why when they go back and actually fire thousands of federal employees, like probationary employees, for example, they have to go, oopsie, I guess we fucked up. Like, for example, I'll give you two examples, okay? Two examples of where they had to go back instantly. Number one, the Department of Energy. You think they're doing, I don't know, gay like climate change subsidies or something. But the Department of Energy actually also controls the American nuclear arsenal. So when they did these mass cuts without actually looking at who they were cutting, they ended up firing the people that control the nukes. So they had to go back and be like, oh shit, we fucked up. Can you please come back? Okay. Another example I can give you in terms of federal government employees that they fired was when they went in and fired the people that were actually overseeing the current avian flu. When you go to the goddamn store right now and there are no fucking eggs, you can't buy any goddamn eggs, and I need eggs because I need the protein. The reason for why you can't get those eggs is because of the avian flu, okay? It's ripping through our egg supply. How do you fucking fire the guys who are tasked with trying to stop the spread of the bird flu when there's a major inflationary crisis? Think. That's precisely why they went back and they were like, oops, we fucked up. Let's hire these guys back. They are not, and they backtracked on the Forest Service as well. This is like a minor part, a minuscule part of the overall budget. The Forest Services are already undermined and underfunded. Okay? Imagine doing this. And this is the reality at virtually every part of the federal government, okay? Virtually every part of the federal government is underfunded and undermined. They need more workers, not less. And we certainly have the money to pay for more workers and not less, except we choose to use our endless, vast amounts of wealth on subsidies for corporations so billionaires and millionaires can turn a tidy profit every single quarter, okay? This is why I keep repeating the point that they are literally robbing you blind, okay? These are your tax dollars that they took from you that they're basically giving back to the wealthiest people in American society. And they're cutting jobs, like the decently paying jobs, okay, in comparison to a nation where there is an underemployment crisis at like 28% of the existing labor force, where everyone is a part of the gig economy serfdom at this point. They're cutting some of these stable full-time jobs. What do you think the economic impact of that is going to look like in a couple years? Have you ever ran a business with that many? How do you know they are not useless? How does he know they are? You both don't. Truth always is, it's a little bit of both. Why can't y'all just be honest? The last two things you said are pure propaganda, but you're good with that, right? Yelling at them for listening to right propaganda while listening to CNN. I literally yell at CNN every fucking day. What are you talking about? And not only that, but also the last two things I didn't give you were propaganda. It's the truth of what took place. Planes are falling out of the goddamn sky. And this guy's like, you know what we need to do? Cut the air traffic controllers even further. Anyway, see, he don't get timed out, but I do. Yeah, you do. It is what it is. There's an aviation incident virtually every single day, okay? Wait till they cut TSA. They already did. They already did. All of those cuts actually lead to worse experiences overall. That's the other side of this story, okay? And people don't have the capacity to understand how this actually impacts them. And even while they're experiencing the impacts of those budget cuts, they still think it's actually the workers that are at fault, okay? When they cut TSA, when they cut the existing TSA workforce, okay, what do you think that happened? What do you think that means for you? If you ever actually have to go and fly, you have to wait in longer lines now. It means you're going to wait in a line, a much longer line, and probably miss your flight. I'm so sick of telling my family members about Trump's ridiculous statement of the day and then having them immediately go, oh, he must have been quoted out of context. There's going to be a lot of that in the interim, okay? There's going to be a lot of people that just hold on to the notion that Donald Trump is Donald Trump is doing great things. Because for a lot of Americans, the reason why they voted for Donald Trump is because of the deep resentment that they feel towards the government that hasn't helped them at all. So they're like, yeah, let's break things. Let's break things and rebuild them. Surely it will be better. So if you're used to nothing, ever changing and your conditions getting worse and worse, then all of a sudden this guy is doing something, right? Before you recognize that the something that they did is harming you, in the process of doing those things, people will go, yeah, it's not too bad that we're shaking things up. Fuck the government. This is what happens after decades of neoliberalism. People develop a deep resentment towards the federal government. People don't think the government actually has their back. People don't think that the government is actually working to make their lives better and more stable, especially because a lot of the things that the federal government does is invisible. It's supposed to be invisible, okay? Why the fuck would you ever care about the National Weather Service? You don't even think about it. You go, oh, the weather app is just showing me what's going on. They don't realize the hundreds of millions of dollars that go into climate scientists like constantly, and the American Army and the Air Force flying around trying to figure out what's happening with weather patterns, okay? You don't think about food safety inspections and regulation that goes into play. You just go to the supermarket and you purchase a slab of beef without having to ever consider all of the federal government initiatives that took place that ensure that the meat that you're eating is not going to kill you. That is a measure, a safety measure that is invisible, and also it's a safety measure that actually harms the bottom line of corporations who would much rather sell you poisonous meat, okay? Until it goes away, you will never understand how the federal government was making your lives better. The worst part of this process, however, is that if there's no one communicating how the federal government is actually making your lives better in the most invisible ways possible, then you're just kind of lost. You're lost. You're like, oh, I don't know. I guess like we just haven't fired enough trans people. That's probably the reason why. We just have to keep doing it over and over again. You got to be kidding. American food is toxic. Shut the fuck up. American food is the worst. You got to be kidding. Yes, dude, I know. That's why I advocate for good regulation. Okay, more regulation, not less. Dude, if you think food is toxic right now, what you're talking about is actually subsidies backed and oftentimes harmful to the broader public foods that Americans consume that is like easily accessible, okay, readily accessible and cheap. What I'm talking about is something entirely different. We're talking about meat inspection, okay? And I don't mean meat inspection in an Ohio middle school because one of the parents in the opposition team decided that, you know, your daughter is trans or something. I'm talking like actually looking at going to a meat facility and inspecting the meat to make sure that it's not fucking poisonous.
I want to start with last week. Videos of protesters yelling at members of Congress went viral, right? But the content focused on the confrontation, not the why. Some of the people that hijacked those town halls are happy with the bloated status quo. They want the bloated status quo to continue. They don't want to get our country back on track.
Yeah. No. Yo, why don't you do this in front of an actual public hearing? You know, tell the people that just lost their jobs. Tell the people that just lost their jobs how, well, they were a part of the bloated administrative apparatus and they had to go. Hassan, are you saying you care for the well-being of your fellow Americans? Yes. Yes. The truth is out, okay? My secret is out. I care about the well-being of fellow Americans. Lol, now you're a communist. Lol, America's learning capitalism in every edge of the government is helpful and not communism. Lol, now you are a communist, but when there is some public interest control mechanism, what are you saying?
Yet Democrats are soliciting sob stories from bloated bureaucrats with six-figure salaries. Give me a break. Now, it's time for us to tell our story. And I want to start with
You have money. You are a literal millionaire. Why care? Socialism, by the way. Exactly. You're right. Exactly. Why care? I'm not trans. Why do I care about trans people? I'm white. Why do I care about black people? It doesn't make any sense. I can purchase platinum healthcare. Why do I want everybody to get healthcare? I know. It's called empathy, man. That's it. Okay? It's empathy.
To the cuts, the threats, John King tonight has a new all over the map report from Colorado.
The Spoma Ranch spans more than 100 acres, home to 60 horses and one last bison.
This little guy down here, his name is Trouble.
A bit ornery at times.
Aw.
Yes, Trouble.
You know, it's like Trump. I really don't like him as a person. I think he's arrogant, kind of a jerk, but...
David Hayes is a funny man.
I tried farming for a while, and I would rather get run over by a bison.
The Northern Colorado Ranch has been in his family since the 1880s. The White House and Washington are far away. Yes, Hayes wants the government shrunk, but he doesn't see a coherent plan. And he doesn't trust Elon Musk, doesn't believe what he says, doesn't want Trump letting Musk poke around Social Security or tax files.
I don't know how many people he's fired. And, you know, Musk keeps saying, well, I found $1 billion of waste here. And Social Security, there's hundreds of people that are collecting it that are between 100 years old and 100.
Peace out. Try to find some empathy. I really like you and agree with you, but I bet you can't even say sorry, even though you don't need to. Your fame won't last forever. Could have fooled me. You don't care about your own fans. I buy all your stuff. Dog, you got auto-botted because you said she's a cunt. Like, what are you talking about? Can I ask why I was timed out of your chat, man? Why was I timed out? Can I not say the C word? Yeah, that's it. It's not some vast conspiracy, okay? Yeah, auto-modded because obviously you called a woman a cunt. It's kind of funny that your name is literally Nice Guy Jake, by the way. Okay, and then you've been on an extended crash out since then, okay? Calm down. Yes, there are certain words you can't say. This is one of them. I don't know how you made this my problem. Jesus Christ. Dudes get... this isn't a bit. No, there are probably a ton of people who don't understand how moderation works in this chat and how Twitch works, and they just like lose their minds over it. I'm nice. Okay, well then stop freaking out. Yes, you got auto-modded, okay? A bot stopped you from saying she's a cunt. Jesus Christ. I'm trying to tell him too, but he doesn't read his replies. Yeah. Yeah, you got timed out for like 30 seconds. Okay. And then Ahmad saw you say that and timed you out for a little bit longer and you lost your dang mind. Calm down. Yes, you're not allowed to say it. Okay.
Can you believe any of that crap? You can't substantiate it, but you can't believe it. So that's a trust issue.
A blue-collar rural guy in one of the nation's most competitive congressional districts. A 3-time Trump voter who calls the president unfocused and arrogant. But Democrats should hold the celebration.
But if you had a do-over tomorrow and you had to pick again between Trump and Harris, what would you do?
I would still do Trump.
So a conservative independent, is that fair?
Very conservative independent, yes.
So would Esmeralda Ramirez-Rey. She smiles when asked about Trump's frenetic first month.
I voted for that. I love it.
What did you vote for?
I voted for a president that was going to put America first. I voted for a president that was going to secure our borders. And I voted for a president that was going to make sure that we were respected throughout the world. And I believe I'm getting that.
Greeley is the northern edge of Colorado's 8th, a congressional district that is 40% Hispanic.
Dude, Americans make it so hard to feel bad for them while they're staring down the precipice of their demise. Like every step of the way, American exceptionalists and American individualists will just come out and just say the dumbest shit on the planet. And you're just like, okay, well, I give up. You know, I give up. What do you want me to do? You could have like Gestapo breaking down your door to put you to the fucking work camps. And you'd still be like, nah, it was a good thing I did that. You know, we really got to get some hard work around these parts. Do you ever think it's crazy that your biggest haters and distractors are as a leftist aren't Nazis and conservatives or right-wing freaks, but liberals? No, it's definitely still Nazis and conservatives and right-wing freaks. Liberals every now and then can get annoying, but it's not, they are far from my biggest fucking haters. Are you kidding me? Maybe liberal content creators themselves who spend a good deal of time, liberal content creators themselves spend a good deal of time like attacking me instead of fucking, you know, getting their eyes on the prize here, locking in. Yeah. In any case, I'm more so disappointed in liberals, okay? That's it. Like, I expect more from them. I expect them to, you know, figure out what the fuck is up, figure out what's wrong with American society, wake up to the realities. That's it. And some do. Many do.
And has a significant undocumented population. Ramirez-Rey is a court interpreter for defendants who don't speak English. She agrees with Trump that some who cross the border illegally are violent criminals, but she wishes he would add that the overwhelming majority are good people.
I was raised as a migrant worker working in the fields. Those are the people that are out there picking their crops. So even though I support Trump, I don't believe that he's the end-all, be-all savior of humanity. Nobody is.
Now this one, we've had Canadian hoser for a long time before all this stuff came up. Right. All the fights with American and Canadian hockey players and everything.
Like Hayes, Todd Waffle says Trump can be arrogant and pompous, but like Ramirez-Rey, he's a fan of the early pace.
I like him going full speed. Let's get things done. Let's find out if the policies work, they don't work. But yeah, this is the baby brewing system. Boil it up there.
Waffle started Satire Brewing 7 years ago. Business is good, and he constantly debates expanding. But a plan to boost sales by adding canning machines is on hold because of Trump tariffs on aluminum.
When you fly enough, you understand, you know, buckle your seatbelt, turbulence ahead.
Waffle's approach is a trademark of many Trump voters. Accept the things that make you cringe to get the things you want, like a better economy and a stronger border.
Trump's going to say what he's going to say. And yeah, some of it's going to be exaggerated, some are not going to be true. But at the end of the day, I think you got to, sift through all that. Is he going to get things done? Is he going to get the country moving the right way?
Let go right in front of your eyes.
I mean, I've told you that this is literally the overarching attitude from Republicans right now. He's just getting things done, you know. He's just a crazy guy, but he's taking a mallet to the goddamn federal government, and I hate the federal government because I've been told it doesn't do nothing. And all of the things that it does do are invisible, so I don't care. You know, fuck it, deregulate, okay? Destroy the administrative state, brother. I don't care. They don't realize the consequences of Donald Trump's mallet to the administrative state, okay? They don't realize it. And also, they like that he's doing something, anything. And they're dumb enough to think that Trump is destroying woke and that woke has actually destroyed their lives, I guess.
Just like that.
Austin Jenkins voted for lower taxes and less regulation. That would help his small businesses, including his cocktail bar. and the Greeley Hatchet House.
He seemed like the lesser of two evils in my opinion.
But Jenkins finds the first month unsettling. Not a fan of tariffs or executive orders by the dozens or Musk popping from agency to agency.
I thought there's supposed to be checks and balances somewhere.
So where do I want to let go? Shoulder height?
Right in front of your eyes. So,
dude, everyone is a liberal at the end of the day. It's amazing. He said, I thought there were checks and balances. Everyone's a liberal, baby. Let's go. Everyone's a goddamn liberal. What about our institutions? All the petty bourgeois for these interviews is interesting. Yeah, all of our glorious small business owners, dude.
Plus, he sees fear in the Latino community, wishes Trump would find a more compassionate way to improve border security.
I think there's a better way to go about it. I don't know if it's necessarily just force them out.
Trump, of course, won't be on the ballot next election, but this district will help
You never know.
Decide whether Republicans keep their tiny House majority.
The cost of living's getting crazy here in Colorado.
My cousin shed literal tears of joy when he didn't have to put pronouns in his email signature anymore for the DOD. He was a probationary employee for the DOD and was let go last week. Well, that's another way to eliminate putting pronouns in your email, in your work email, don't you think? If you don't have a work email any longer because you don't have a fucking job. This is what I mean when it's like, this is what I mean when I say it's like, maybe he was semi-fired, okay? Maybe he was semi-fired and he'll keep working for free, I guess. I don't know. But like, this is what I mean when I say it's so hard. It's so hard to maintain my across the board, I care about all workers attitude when these guys are literally begging for their own demise. Okay? Yeah, new pronouns, unemployed. It's hard, man. It's hard. I saw a tweet from an account that Elon Musk had recently retweeted about healthcare being a secret way to bring about communism and death and destruction. With what is it? What's the name of that account? It's like Rothmus or something. It's like one of those Rothmus is the account. And it zapped my brain. This is a account that just like posts dumbass libertarian shit all day, every day. Hold on. Let me see if I can find this exact tweet. It truly bricked my brain. I saw it and it like lasered me. It was like the mousetrap meme. Like the mice see the mice see other other mice that has died in the mousetrap and still go for the cheese. And just like communists see all of the death and destruction born about, oh, here it is. Whoa, free cheese. And then everybody sees poverty and death and destruction under socialism and go, whoa, free healthcare. That account also posts Holocaust denial. Of course it does. People unironically believe this shit, okay? They do. And to me, it's like, thank you for the raid, Rob Rousseau. Hope you had a good stream. They're always replying to all your tweets too. Wait, they are? I didn't even know. I think they're just mad. They've been paying for it, so they believe everyone always should. What? Honest question. Why do you think Americans are so counter-revolutionary in their mindset? Because their brain is bricked. Dude, even during the Great Depression, okay, Steinbeck, who wrote Grapes of Wrath, very famously said, socialism will never come to the United States of America because the workers do not see themselves as an exploited proletariat, but temporarily embarrassed millionaires. That is the reason. Americans literally think they are one cryptocurrency scheme away from being Elon Musk. What? When does Dr. Doom show up? Scrocious fancies you, by the way? Okay. They genuinely, truly believe in their minds that they are, their wealth is right around the corner, okay? They're one lottery ticket removed from making it out the mud. And they also they also are so close-minded. Like, they just think America is an exceptional country, and they refuse to reckon with the reality that, like, plenty of other competent capitalist social democracies offer this service. And unironically, even developing nations that are significantly poorer than the United States of America offer this. Okay? It's insane.
And I hope that they would have some kind of an impact on helping that.
I don't know if that's true. Didn't you say yourself once that the problem with these kinds of people is that they believe the people on the top deserve what they have? Yes, they do. They do believe that. It is peasant mentality. It's the serf mindset. Yes, that goes along with what I'm talking about. They believe that they are going to work hard and work smart and get lucky and basically become the lords that they fancy. And they think the lords that they fancy currently are in that position of power because they also worked hard and worked smart. Okay? That's what this means.
Republican congressman won by just 2,000 votes. His 2026 reelection prospects will...
You don't understand socialism coming faster this way once it all collapses? No, it's not. Especially not in a fucking reactionary shithole like America. Okay? What are you talking about? We are accelerating towards fascism, whether the only people who, in my opinion, are against true accelerationism are social democrats and socialists that advocate for at least like welfare and expansive social safety nets. They are the ones who are trying to stop the collapse. Accelerationists are so funny. They think like magically Americans are going to develop revolutionary consciousness out of nowhere. No, they're not. You know what we're bouldering towards in the state collapse? Who's going to restore order? Fascists.
Will likely hinge on Trump's performance, on whether swing voters here see the president as focused on the big issues or veering too far off target.
Hassan, you are not an accelerationist because you are not smart, but it's okay. You can learn, Lamau. Yes, I'm stupid. That's why I look at the situation, okay, and recognize that people are not going to magically start carrying copies of the fucking Red Book, okay, and build Maoist brigades in the mountains and start engaging in self-crit and the spiritual atom bomb of Mao Zedong thought is going to uplift both the third world and the first. Okay? It will happen. Hot take, but the way socialism can go through fascism if it must. No, that's not how this works, man. Y'all are crazy. Look at history. Is that what happened? No.
So, John, of all the Trump supporters you spoke with, some had complaints or at least unease about the president's first month back in office. Should the president be concerned?
Well, he should listen to them, Anderson, certainly. You do see some evidence today with the Trump administration backing off that Musk email to federal employees as perhaps evidence they are listening. Look, Trump voters, they understand there's a price of admission, some of the chaos, some of the other things. But what they most voted for was lower prices and a secure border. That half of the Trump voters we talked to complained about Musk, worried that he has too long of a leash. That's pretty interesting. Normally, people complain about Trump's tone, not so much about what he's doing. So if you're the president, you want to keep an eye on that. But the bigger risk is that, look, Trump's not on the ballot. 2 years from now, House Republicans will be and Senate Republicans will be. The district we were in is one of the most competitive districts in the country. It is very evenly
divided. Yeah, I can't wait for the Democrats to like try and secure a marginal victory so they can do virtually nothing. And still say, oh, we'll do bipartisan compromise with our newfound majority, if that even happens, by the way.
Swing voters or soft Trump voters think that Trump and Musk and Republicans in Congress are off doing other things like wandering into...
You think the reactionary peasantry in Russia in 1917 was any better or more educated? They were just illiterate dumb hogs too at first. I think the material conditions of the 1917 peasantry in Tsarist Russia is entirely different than the comfortable lap of luxury that the American labor aristocrats experience on a daily fucking basis. Okay? I get what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from, but someone had to build class consciousness. But you're talking about peasantry, okay? Which is an entirely different class of person than a small business owner or an American who fucking fancies themselves. Like, the reactionary peasantry did not think they would be the czar one day. Do you understand? Neoliberalism and capitalism has an infinitely better mechanism of control to nullify and pacify any sort of revolutionary sentiment. That's the major difference. This is why I always talk about how like authoritarian governance actually breeds resentment and possibly rebellion, whereas neoliberal governance does not. Neoliberal governance makes you feel like you are you are on the driver's seat, that you have some kind of control over all of the things that are happening. I'm just trying to point out that revolutions never really come from a massive rising of intelligence of the population. Yes, but it also, like, the American, if you ask the average American, they think America is a shining beacon of democracy, even under Donald Trump. They don't recognize that there is a uniparty principle across the board when it comes to deregulation and offering tax cuts to the fucking super wealthy. That's it. You're too combative sometimes. Some of these chatters are agreeing with you and you're just reading past what they actually mean, just my take. No, I get holding out hope. I'm just saying that the conditions are very different in America right now, if that makes sense. And I'm also explaining why I still think that reforms in the interim are necessary in order to even build class consciousness. Okay? You have to, my argument has always been that you have to build the quote unquote vanguard first. Okay? You have to at least build a network of real resistance, a network that can cause economic harm. And right now, when I look at America and look at Americans, look at their relations to the means of production, okay, and their attitudes overall, I don't see any sort of revolution ever happening. There is no network. There aren't even labor unions in this country. And plenty of labor unions are also completely captured by corporate interests to begin with. Like, think about it. Think about what I just showed you about, okay. This is the average American's perspective, okay? I want to repeat this once again. This is like low-key, there are a lot of Americans who feel this way, okay? So what do you think accelerationism would bring about in a country where there are plenty of people who unironically think this way? There's a lot of work that needs to be done, okay? It doesn't happen overnight with easy access to guns. Okay, good luck. Who is more gunned up in this country? The dumbass hogs that believe this shit and would kill you for being trans, or the Socialist Rifle Association?
The federal agencies are looking at the Social Security records and not lowering costs and worrying about the border. The Republicans could pay the price. So we'll keep going back to this district. We're only a month in. I wouldn't shoot up any flares yet if you're the Trump political team. But when your own voters are starting to complain, you should listen.
All right, John.
The Bolshevik Revolution also wouldn't have happened had it not been for World War I, where the Russian peasantry was eviscerated and made destitute due to war. America is not experiencing even a fraction of what people in Tsarist Russia or nationalist China were experiencing to invoke a workers' revolution. You aren't encouraging people to build the movements. We need to change these dynamics by saying this doomerous stuff. No, it's not. Hope is a discipline, bro. It doesn't come from looking at the world and consuming Trump. No. Make no mistake. That's why I do what I do. That's why I always advocate for organizing. That's why I always advocate for community organizing. That's why I always advocate for labor organizing, labor union organizing. It is precisely because I think that we need to build that network, but it doesn't happen overnight. Okay. But accelerationism without any sort of like counterbalance, without any sort of network without any sort of organizational network to push for socialist revolution, is going to turn into fascism. And it already is.
King, thanks so much.
Musk says federal workers will get another chance to report productivity or be terminated.
Right. Elon Musk is giving some federal workers the boot and others a second chance to respond to his email. Yeah, I just ad-libbed that. As he continues asking for details of what they accomplished over the last week.
Madeline Rivera joins us live from Washington with the latest. Good morning, Matt.
Hey, Maddie. Hi, guys. Good morning. Yeah, there's a lot of confusion regarding this directive. Elon Musk says while there is a second chance to respond, failure to answer again will result in termination this time. But the Office of Personnel Management says agencies will be the ones to review responses and evaluate non-responses. They look into whether employees were...
Bro, look at the kids with our DOE now. Are you seeing the results that make you happy about the DOE currently? What? You're right. We need more privatization. Thank God. Here, let's look at his new executive orders that he's signing.
Which one last? Or the digital taxes taking place all over Europe. They're taxing us, and they're doing other things. They're suing all our companies. And if that's going to happen, we want to be the ones that sue, not them. And they use it almost as a form of running.
Okay, I'm going to ask that chatter and many other chatters who look at the current Department of Education and go, it's too costly. We pay more per pupil than any of these other nations, and our educational outcomes are dog shit, okay? The question I have for you is, do you know that other countries exist? Okay? Like Donald Trump loves talking about Norwegian education. Donald Trump even talks about Chinese education and says, they're beating us, they're beating us. What do you think is different in China and Norway and many of these other countries that Donald Trump consistently points to when he talks about education? Do you think it's actually because they have blossoming private sector, private education opportunities? Or do you think it's closer to nationalization, and socialized almost entirely and all publicly funded? It's the second thing. It's not because they have private education. It's actually a lack of private education.
They don't treat us right as a country. So we're going to protect our companies. We have to protect our companies. So we're not going to have any companies left anymore. I also want to thank Apple, though, for announcing they're going to invest $500 billion in our country. That's
in Sweden, a lot is private and for profit. You're wrong. I don't know if you're Swedish or not, but Sweden implemented privatization initiatives and had to go back on them because they immediately saw a drop in educational outcomes. Now they're still going back to privatization in Sweden, okay, after years and years. But ultimately, it is responsible for Swedish education being on a downturn regardless. Sweden is actually a very famous case of privatization being a genuine issue. Hold on. Here, we'll look at it right now. Sweden, education minister declares for-profit schools a failure. Swedish expert, the market system is a disaster for students and Sweden. Sweden school minister declares free school system failure. Lotta Edholm aims to limit the profit-making ability of friskolar in her plans for education reform. Sweet here, we have a weird semi-privatized system where private schools are state-funded but still for profit. They take our tax money for profit. No, I know. And this is a real issue in Sweden because I think it was like a decade ago when they first tried to implement this initiative and squashed it, but it never went away. Here it is, okay? From 2015, article that is more than 9 years old, is a decade past. It's a political failure how Sweden's celebrated school system fell into crisis. International ratings have plummeted and inequality is growing after a raft of changes, including in introduction of the voucher system. They literally did school choice. Okay? They implemented school choice in Sweden. SF Dubs, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Anyway, are you familiar with how insane the education system is in the U.S.? Are you aware of the local school board powers and recs? As a teacher, our system is so fucked up. My school is purposely failing students to get more money, no discipline, and we're becoming more of a diploma factory. I know already 30 students that had GPAs under 1.0 and still graduated. I have students that are at a second grade reading and math that are freshmen. Milton Friedman in shambles when he saw this article in Hell? No, he loves this shit, dude. Are you kidding me? Milton Friedman cares more. He does not have a utilitarian perspective. He cares more about rampant privatization. He is totally in favor of government subsidies as long as they are subsidizing private enterprise. These people's worldview is not about uplifting the entire public. It's entirely about might is right. It's entirely about like rich people getting ahead. He doesn't give a shit. There are so many examples like this in terms of pupil performance in Sweden. And Sweden is a great example of how a country turns reactionary after rampant neoliberal austerity and rampant privatization. Yeah, it's all the Muslims, the rape gangs that Muslims are committed to. Meanwhile, this kind of stuff is actually what's ruining the quality of life in a country like Sweden. But hey, as long as you focus on the Muslims, things will be, get all the Kurds out of Sweden and then it'll be good.
But
right?
It's rare earths and other things. And look, we're spending hundreds of billions of dollars on Ukraine and Russia fighting a war that should have never, ever happened. That's a war that would have never happened if I were president. And it didn't happen for 4 years. People say, how do we know that it didn't happen for 4 years? Would have never happened. And nevertheless, this guy went into this situation and he spent money like nobody's ever seen, $350 billion. The other thing that we don't like is that Europe has spent $100 billion. We've spent $350 billion. Europe gets their money back because they spent it in the form of a loan, and we just gave them, whether it's 300 or 350 billion, nobody really knows. They can't even tell me the answer to that. It means probably more than that. So what we're doing is now we're saying, look, we want to be secured. We want to get that money back. We're helping a country through a very, very big problem, a problem like very few people have had. Shouldn't have had this problem because it shouldn't have happened, but it did happen. So we have to straighten it out. But the American taxpayer now is going to get their money back plus.
Mr. President, yesterday with Emmanuel Macron, you said you had spoken to Putin about the idea of peacekeepers in Ukraine, that Putin was fine with it. The Kremlin, I guess, has said that that's actually unacceptable to them. What's real here?
That's not what I was.
China, Sweden, Japan, countries with strong social safety nets also have a common relative racial homogeneity. Hard to do social safety nets in a racially diverse country where some groups don't want other races to get the same / any government money spent on them. Yeah, famously China, which is certainly incredibly homogenous. Like, sure, you can say that about Japan. Yeah, just wait, dude. Once we fucking kill all of the brown people, then we'll have socialism. It's so stupid. This is an economic system, okay? It is born out of capitalism. Shut the fuck up. That's just a dumbass lie that capital owners tell you as well, because it's a great distraction. It has nothing to do with racial homogeneity. It's ridiculous.
Mr. President.
That war-fighting equipment and the ammunition, that's sustained going forward for Ukraine, and how long is it sustained?
Well, it could go forward for a while, and maybe until we have a deal with Russia. Look, we need to have a deal with Russia, otherwise it's going to continue. But now when Americans put up their money, the taxpayer money, and the president approves it, we're getting our money back in some form. But it could go on for a while, or it could be settled quickly. I think it's going to be settled quickly. I spoke with President Putin. I think he wants to settle it. And
like, one of the funniest aspects of this also is that, like, what's the most famous example of an implementation of socialist governance? The fucking USSR. It literally is one of the most diverse structures that has ever fucking existed. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Ridiculous. It's all entirely made up. The notion that, like, brown people are somehow different than the white people in this country is a made up phenomenon, okay? It literally existed throughout time for people that are now comfortably under the banner of white. Irish people, Italian people, Polish people, Jews. They were all, at a certain point, not considered white. Usually, when they were migrating into the United States of America, they were not considered white, okay? Now they're all white. And there are plenty of studies that clearly show that by the second generation, full-blown assimilation takes place. By the third generation, virtually indistinguishable. But by the second generation, you assimilate to America. You are American. Okay? The idea that, like, the color of your skin or your ethnic background is some sort of limitation to, social safety nets is moronic. There are plenty of countries that are just as diverse as the United States of America, as a matter of fact, like fucking Canada or even the UK, that have way more expansive social safety nets. The real problem in those countries is not the diversity that's ruining these nation states. The real problem is the capitalists that are trying to undermine these social safety nets with the hopes that they can inevitably privatize it down the line.
so it's true. Thank you, Brian. It's true. A lot of people in Canada.
Bro really doesn't think white supremacy has any effect on how politics happen in the U.S. That chatter is right, though.
They'll have.
Oh my God. Oh my God. You know what? You're right. That's why we should kill all of the fucking black and brown people in this country so that maybe one day we can have social safety nets. What kind of fucking stupid argument is this? I'm giving you an example of diverse countries that have better more expansive social safety nets in the United States of America. Are you too dumb to understand that? Yes, white supremacy is a very effective marketing tool for division. No one is saying you should kill them. Be so for real. Oh, sorry. We should do remigration. What are you talking about? You're misinterpreting the chatter. No, I'm not misinterpreting the chatter. That chatter is bringing up a dumbass argument that racist Nazis use on a regular fucking basis. The notion that once this is going to, the chatter is right though. America's history of racism is straight up why social safety nets have been ripped apart in America. Like, it's not necessarily homogeneity, but it's white supremacy. I'm losing my mind. It is the marketing. That is simply the marketing. I know that there's appetite for dumbass white Americans to undermine social safety nets because they think black people are getting a worse go at it. But that doesn't change the reality that it is simply marketing to divide the American public and to ensure that they do not recognize their class divisions. Okay? I hate this notion. I hate this argument. Yeah, I know. It is what racists say. The divide is pure propaganda. That chatter thinks it's a rule. Okay?
And this has been going on for 20 years more in order to take care of a certain species of fish, which wasn't doing very well without water, I can tell you. So that's a big deal. It's like not reported. It's incredible. But California has a lot of water. That's going to take care of farmers. It's going to wetten up the land. And it's going to go all the way down to Los Angeles, where they have curfews on water, where they have all sorts of blocks on water. You can only use so much. We're going to put until just recently, they were going to put a number of gallons per person living in a house in Beverly Hills on water. You're not going to have that problem anymore. Do you have a picture? Let me just see what that looks like. How beautiful is that? Look at that beautiful water flowing. Look at that. That's coming in the dikes and other means of transportation. Isn't that beautiful? Who would believe that? That's all water they could have had. I went to the governor during my first term and I said, why don't you do this? And they said they have an environmental problem with clean water. If this water were there, you wouldn't have had those fires. You had sprinklers. They make people put sprinklers in the ceiling of a home, and they had no water in them. With this, they would have had a lot of water in them. They would have all been full. You would have had a whole different deal down there. You probably wouldn't have had a fire, but if it was, it would have been small, would have been put out. You had the fire hydrants not working in California. So it's a beautiful site. These are canals that were built. These were all built. And you saw them for years. They were empty, concrete. They call them the V-shapes or the half pipes.
Incredible. He posted his own tweet.
And they rush down through the farm areas where the farmers can take it and down to Los Angeles. And they were sitting empty for years. And now look at that. Look at that way it looked. It wasn't easy. We had to be very unfriendly to get into those areas. We opened it up.
Mr. President.
I essentially attacked California. Can you believe it? I attacked California. Let's go.
At the outset of your administration, sir, you committed to ending the weaponization of government, to holding those accountable who participated in the weaponization of government.
Hold it. This is a good one. Is everybody listening? Deranged Jack Smith. We're going to call it the Deranged Jack Smith signing or bill. Go ahead.
One law firm that provided pro bono legal services to the special counsel's office under Jack Smith's leadership was Covington and Burling. As a result of those actions, we're now going to be suspending and putting under review the security clearances for the attorneys and employees at that firm who worked with Jack Smith's team. And we're going to continue holding the people who were responsible for the weaponization of government and who supported it accountable for what they did.
And you'll be doing this with other firms as time goes by, right?
We're looking at sort of the whole panoply of options.
The weaponization of our system by law firms, even pro bono work they're doing just in order to clog up government, stop government. And nobody knows about it more than me. And hopefully that'll never happen again.
Mr. President, may I ask you a question about Europe? So long term, do you plan to maintain the number of U.S. troops?
Wait, I just want to savor this one, please. Who would like this pen? Hey, why don't you send it to Jack Smith, a deranged person?
Who worried at targeting an individual firm or individuals who aren't Jack Smith for his actions?
I've been targeted for 4 years. Longer than that. Thank you, sir. So you don't tell me about targeting. I was the target of corrupt politicians for 4 years, and then 4 years after that. So don't talk to me about targeting. Yeah, go ahead.
Mr. President, there are approximately 2 million federal employees right now. By the end of your term, what do you expect that number to be? What would you like that number to be?
Well, it'll be lower, but I can't tell you. Everybody knows I ran on downsizing government, but making government better. I ran on tariffs and making our country rich, and that's what's going to do. We're going to be doing something else that's going to be very, very good. We're going to be selling a gold card. You have a green card. This is a gold card. We're going to be putting a price on that card of about $5 million, and that's going to give you green card privileges plus. It's going to be a route to citizenship, and wealthy people will be coming into our country by buying this card. They'll be wealthy, and they'll be successful, and they'll be spending a lot of money and paying a lot of taxes and employing a lot of people. And we think it's going to be extremely successful. Never been done before, anything like this, but it's something that we're going to be putting out over the next, would you say 2 weeks, Howard? Do you want to say a couple of words about it?
Mr. President, are there
Wait a
any
minute.
requirements for that gold
Hang on a
card?
second.
Do you have to invest a certain amount of money in this country in order to qualify for that gold card?
Yeah, exactly.
So
Go
the
ahead.
EB-5 program was really, you lend some money, but it was full of nonsense.
American immigration has always been pay to win, Chad.
That was low priced. So the president said, rather than having this sort of ridiculous EB-5 program, we're going to end the EB-5 program. We're going to replace it with the Trump Gold Card, which is really a green card gold. So they'll be able to pay $5 million to the U.S. government. They'll have to go through vetting, of course. We're going to make sure they're wonderful, world-class global citizens. They can come to America.
Okay, they 10x'd it though. It used to be 500 grand, I think.
And they can invest in America, and we can use that money.
And now instead of green, it's
reduce our
gold because
deficit.
it's Trump.
Why do we give out lotteries of green cards? Why do we give out EB-5 for green cards? The President of the United States understands that the right answer is, why don't we eliminate the deficit of the United States of America?
Oh, it was 1 million? It used to be, I think it was 500,000, but now it's 1 million.
Millions, but the gold card will bring in with it people that create jobs.
No,
very
I
high-level
think it
people.
was 500,000. Now
I
it's
think
5
companies
million.
will
They
pay to
10x'd
get
it.
people in. For instance, you today graduate from the Wharton School of Finance or Harvard or
Chatter's
Stanford.
finding out that American migration is pay to win. It has always been pay to win. It's not a new phenomenon at all.
These companies
They
that
just
want to
made
get
it more
people to
expensive.
be working for them will be able to buy a card, and for the people that are number one in their class at top schools, I see that as one of the things. But generally speaking, it'll be people with money and people that create jobs, and they won't have to pay any tax on income outside of the United States, which they're not paying right now. They're not citizens, but they'll have to pay if they create jobs in the United States. They'll pay full taxes like
Plenty of
everybody
countries
else.
have this
So
principle,
you're
by the way.
getting,
A lot of countries also have a similar structure where you can just like pay to win and get and gain citizenship.
And if you add up the numbers, they're pretty good. As an example,
You just pay it. You just pay for it.
cards would be worth
Like a lot of money.
$5 trillion. Wow. And if you sell 10 million of the cards, that's a total of $50 trillion. Well, we have 35 trillion in debt. That'd be nice. So we'll see. But it could be great. Maybe it will be fantastic. We have it all worked out from the legal standpoint. It's totally legal to do. Hasn't been done before. It's been done in many different forms. We give them away. Why should we give them away? We shouldn't give them away. And I think it's something very exciting. I think it's potentially just something that we're all very excited about. So it's a gold card. It's somewhat like a green card, but at a higher level of sophistication. It's a road to citizenship for people. And essentially people of wealth or people of great talent, where people of wealth pay for those people of talent to get in, meaning companies will pay for people to get in and to have long-term status in the country. And I think it's something we're very, very happy about. Would you have anything to say about that?
Well, many other countries, by the way, do this, including, of course, your 51st state does that.
And the money's earmarked for deficit reduction?
It may be earmarked for deficit, but it actually could be more money than that. I mean, if you did 10 million, it would be, you'd have $15 trillion left over. But generally, it's going to be paid down debt, yes.
Do you need Congress for this? Do you think you need to
No, we
pass
don't
a
need
law?
Congress, no, because we're not doing citizenship, we're doing the card.
I see.
It's a path to citizenship, a very strong path to citizenship, but we're not doing the citizenship. For that, I'd have to get Congress.
And would all countries be eligible for this gold card?
Depends. The countries largely, the people will be vetted very carefully.
Mr. President, on Ukraine, would you provide military support for Ukraine in the future under a peace agreement?
Say it again louder.
Would you provide military support for Ukraine in the future as part
You mean
of
like
a peace
security?
agreement? Yeah.
Well, people are going to do it. I think Europe will largely be responsible for that. European countries will be responsible.
But Macron asked for a U.S. backup.
Well, we'll see. I mean, right now we're just in the process of negotiating. We've pretty much negotiated our deal on raw earth and various other things. We'll be looking at that security. You're talking about general security for Ukraine later on. I don't think that's going to be a problem. There are a lot of people that want to do it. And I spoke with Russia about it. They didn't seem to have a problem with it. So I think they understand. They're not going back in. Once we do this, they're not going back in.
Would the U.S. provide, for instance, air defense?
Well, I just told you. Right now, we're not providing anything. You know, it's about Europe, too. Europe put in...
It's raw.
100 billion, and we
The
put
earth
in
is raw.
350.
The
It's not
earth
a
is
fair
raw,
thing.
and the minerals are here for the taking.
Normally
That's
say,
why
and
Ukraine
I
is
say
so
it now
flat.
Anyway, but we want equalization.
That's why
They should
Ukraine
put
is
up
so flat,
actually
because of
more
the
money than us
raw,
because they're right there. We
raw
have an
earth
ocean in between.
minerals.
But we've had very good talks with Russia. We've
I
had
think one
very
of the
good talks
funniest
with
parts about this
Ukraine,
is
and
that,
we
like,
think
I
maybe
still
we'll come
don't
to
know
an end
what
and we'll
these
stop
raw
killing
earth
young
minerals
people all
are.
over the
And
battlefield.
everybody keeps
And-
saying,
and
like, the last time there was an accurate assessment of these raw earth minerals was, like, during the USSR. So I don't even know how much
We'll be
raw earth
involved,
minerals they
yeah,
actually
We'll be
have.
involved in Europe. We're involved in
Raw
Europe
earth
now.
minerals.
Europe is our friend. They take advantage of us on trade.
They're
We
so
don't like
raw.
that, what the EU
Not
does. We don't like
rare,
that.
raw.
But we'll solve that.
We're going to take them
the
raw.
old-fashioned, give them the same reciprocal numbers. You know, we're talking about a reciprocal tax.
It's
you know
not
that.
raw, buddy. Shut the
And,
fuck up.
If they charge us,
My
we charge them.
president.
Right now, they charge us
My
much,
president.
much more than we charge them.
He's right.
And they have
You're wrong.
non-monetary taxes also and tariffs. And we're going to change that. It's all changing. It's all changing. We're not going
It's
to be
raw
the,
now.
the people that we were. We had
Shut
people
up.
in this office sitting right at this desk or another model of this desk. Because as you know, the other desk is right now being refurbished.
Is Steve Witkoff delaying his trip?
No, not that I know of. No, Steve. And the Middle East has been great. Saudi Arabia has treated us really well. They really have. And I think Qatar has treated us very well, too. They want
Is he covering his bruise?
They want
Yes,
to
he
get that
is.
whole mess ended in the Middle East. You know, we
He
don't
is
even
covering
talk
his
about
bruise.
that
He has a
anymore.
bruise on
You
his
guys haven't
left
asked one
hand.
question about the
I saw
Middle
that
East, but
too. I saw that.
The Middle East
I
seems to
follow
be
all the
going-
lib accounts. Okay, I know all the latest and greatest in lib tech, liberal technology.
For months, even before you were elected in November, you've spoken about your desire to free all of those hostages that have been held by Hamas
Yeah.
since October the 7th, a year and a half ago. And just a few weeks ago, you gave an ultimatum. You said if they're not all released by noon on February the 15th, there would be hell to pay. Is Hamas
He had a long night of
coming
drinking,
to
so he got the IV.
No, I think the opposite. So, as you know, they weren't going to release any more hostages. And I said there's going to be hell to pay. And then they agreed that they were going to release the hostages that they had agreed to release, plus an extra one. And so that you could say that was a big difference. But I said it from that point, it's up to Bibi Netanyahu and Israel. I may have taken a different stance. But they did release, they went back to releasing the hostages. But if you remember, they said we weren't going to release any. They've totally ended it. And I said, well, they're not going to release any. They'll be held to pay. And but the rest is really up to him. What I may have done it differently than him. It's not my decision, it's his decision. But they did release all of those hostages. So.
Mr. President, when you spoke to Vladimir Putin, did he raise or did you discuss at all the possibility of a minerals deal on the Ukrainian land that Russia now controls?
I didn't discuss it, no. I'd like to buy minerals on Russian land, too, if we can. The rare earth. They have very good rare earth also. They both do. I would say that. And oil and gas. Look, it's a great thing if we sell this. It's great for Russia, too, because we can do deals there. They have very valuable land that isn't utilized. So something like that could take place, yeah.
Have you put raising or lifting sanctions against Russia on the table as your
No, we haven't lifted any sanctions on
Is it
anybody.
on the table as
I guess it will be at some point, but right now we haven't agreed to lift sanctions on anybody.
On that gold card, getting back to that, I'm fascinated by this, Mr. President.
You should be fascinated by it. Your taxes will go down to nothing.
Would a Russian oligarch be eligible for a gold card?
Yeah, possibly. Hey, I know some Russian oligarchs that are very nice people. It's possible. They're not quite as wealthy as they used to be. They're not as wealthy as they used to be. I think they can afford. I think they can afford $5 million.
So they have
No, a lot of people are going to want
they would be
to.
eligible.
A lot of people are going to want to be in this country, and they'll be able to work and provide jobs and build companies and pay taxes. All of those things. It's an incredible. It's an incredible thing. I mean, this is the group that is the first to hear it. Nobody's heard about it. Nobody ever thought about it. But we've been thinking about it very, very strongly over the last week. And I was going to announce it sometime next week, and I figured, why not? We have a lot of cameras blazing right now. We might as well do it now. We'll have Caroline announce it the next time. No, it's a great thing. The gold card. Remember the words, the gold card. Somebody said, can we call it the Trump gold card? I said, if it helps, use the name Trump. I'll give it to you for free.
I like it. Mr. President, you probably just launched 10,000 stories. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more on what Russian oligarchs you know or don't know?
Isn't it interesting how many stories we do tell? And they all turn out to be true, and they all turn out to be ultimately correct. You know, Trump was right about everything. Do you have one of those Trump was right about everything hats? I'm going to give it to this gentleman. Get me one of them.
But they're all going to be vetted. Everybody who comes in gets vetted, okay? They get vetted, so you got to, we're going to begin in 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks. The sale will start in about 2 weeks.
Mr. President, do you see a more active role for Zelensky now, given the status?
I hope so. I mean, look, I think that we want to get that country back on its feet. And right now, it's been destroyed. And so here, give me all of them. Look. See that? Trump was right about everything. It just came in. Somebody said, I said,
look, this is a hat that says I'm right.
We should make some of them, right?
This is a clown show, dude.
I'll pass.
An absolute clown show.
I know him well. He's sort of a stiff.
Yeah. What do you got? What do you got? What do you have to say to that? Here's a hat that says I'm right.
Would anybody like one?
Mr. President, an easy question perhaps for you. Maybe it's difficult. I'm going to ask you this question about the
Who do you work for?
I work for 2 news organizations.
Who?
I work for 2 news organizations.
Yeah, who are they?
I work for Gray Television, America's second largest broadcaster, and I work for iHeartRadio. So there you go. But let me ask you the easier, tough question, Mr. President. The Philadelphia Eagles won the Super Bowl. Are they being extended an invitation?
They will be. We haven't yet, but we will be. I thought it was a great performance by them. And absolutely, they'll be extended that invitation. Would you do that right away?
He got so mad.
We'll do it right away. We're going to do it sometime today, and they deserve to be down here, and we hope to see them. We have a lot of teams. We just had the great hockey team, as you know, Florida come here. We have many of the great athletes.
Only an idiot would argue with a hat.
What's the main obstacle holding up this PGA Tour Live Golf?
Well, they have to get together. You know, they've had a lot of discussion back and forth. They both are meaning well, and a deal will ultimately happen. I think it'll happen pretty quickly. It'll be nice to see the golfers, the best golfers, be able to play against each other, just to help expedite it. Tiger was here. Adam Scott was here. Jay Monahan was here the other day. Just to really help expedite it. We had Yasser here from Saudi Arabia, great guy. These are all great people, and they want to work it out. So if I can help them work it out, I don't get anything out of it. If I can help them work it out. I just think golf, it's very much of an individual sport, and you want to see the best players playing against each other, not playing in 2 different locations, right?
What's going to be more challenging, a PGA Live deal or a Russia-Ukraine deal?
I think the PGA deal is much more complicated.
If I may, what's your take on what's happening in the West Bank and what Israel is
Well,
doing
it's some movement up there that a lot of people are concerned about. And there's been a lot of Israeli movement. They're up there for a reason. All of a sudden, maybe they're not feeling so good about that. So that would be terrible. I hope that doesn't happen. But there is movement up there that nobody knew about, right? You know that, right?
Yeah, and when you say, are you concerned about it as well?
I'm concerned about everything. I want the world to be peaceful. You know, when I left here, we had no war. We had defeated ISIS in less than 4 weeks. In fact, I took the general that defeated ISIS and I put him in charge of the whole ball game, because that's what we want. We want winners. Raisin Cane, you know, Raisin. When I heard that name, I said, I like that name. That's the kind of general I like. So we'll see. But he was great. He's a great soldier, not a politician, a soldier, a real soldier. You know that, Brian. This guy was the real. This guy's the
story a million times.
Yeah, this guy's the real deal.
He is.
And I think he's going to do a great job. But think of it. We had no wars. We had no problems. We had no inflation. We had no problems. And then all of a sudden you have October 7th in Israel, which was horrible. And then you see what happened with Ukraine. Russia would have never gone in if the election weren't rigged. It was a rigged election. The 2020 election was rigged. And we got out of it. And you see what happened. You see what happened to our country. Inflation, Afghanistan, that horrible withdrawal from Afghanistan. I think when Russia saw what happened in Afghanistan.
How is it any different than Biden's ramblings? He's more coherent and he doesn't say habba. And he also optically doesn't look as dead. If you're asking me like what that's the serious answer. Yes, he is still rambling like an old man, but there's a little bit more charisma to his rambling. And he doesn't look like a fucking decaying carcass.
It's going to be a cabinet meeting, and I'll preside. Unlike Biden, I'll preside over my own cabinet meeting.
Mr. President, how would you compare your cabinet in your second term to your cabinet that you had in your first term?
Well, I had some great people my second term. I think this is deeper. I think it's better because it's deeper. I had some people that I didn't really like too much in my cabinet, but I didn't know Washington then. I was a New York person. I knew New York intimately, but I had to rely on people. I had great people. Look, we got the biggest tax cuts in history. I rebuilt the military. I mean, we did so much. We did unbelievable. Even right to try. Somebody was saying today they were saved by right to try. We did right to try medically. We did transparency medically. That was a big thing, but Biden canceled that one. He didn't cancel right to try, which is interesting. He didn't cancel Space Force. He was going to cancel Space Force. Space Force is turning out to be invaluable, amazing. We created Space Force. But think of it, we rebuilt our entire military, and now we're going to have to patch it up a little bit again because of what's happened. No, this was a grossly incompetent administration. The only thing they were good at was cheating in elections and the weaponization of government. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
The lesson to learn from all of this 100% is obviously you need whoever comes in charge. Like if there was I mean, this is kind of laughable, but let's say there's like a revolutionary leadership, a revolutionary change in the Democratic Party, and all of a sudden they're like, you know, genuinely fighting for the expansion of the welfare state, genuinely fighting for the expansion of social safety nets and whatnot. Like, you got to pull that AMLO shit and just straight up yap. You got to be a grade A yapper. Gay. G-A-Y. Grade A yapper. Why talk about an impossibility? Who knows, man? Who knows? All right. Well, speaking of impossible things. Breaking. Hamas announced an agreement has been reached to resolve the problem of delaying the release of Palestinian prisoners who were supposed to be released in the last batch so that they would be released simultaneously with the bodies of the Israeli prisoners who were agreed to be handed over during the first phase, in addition to the corresponding Palestinian women and children. Hamas leaders led by Dr. Khalil al-Hayya said they concluded their visit to Cairo after talks with the Egyptian officials on the ceasefire and prisoner exchange agreements. The discussions also covered the implementation of the ceasefire agreement and the prospects for negotiations on its second phase. Full statement below. This still doesn't mean, I don't think that this doesn't mean that they have announced the second phase of the ceasefire, for the record. It just simply means that they are fully implementing the first phase of the ceasefire because Israel was going back on releasing 600 Palestinian hostages. Is this a Steve Witkoff W? Everything is a Steve Witkoff W. What is this? Another vindication of international relations realism here. It doesn't matter how emotionally charged the issue is or how many theatrics pop up. The ceasefire is going to stick as long as the most powerful actor, the U.S., sees it in its interest. An Israeli official tells me the crisis in the Gaza hostage deal is on its way to be resolved. The official said the crisis, which was created by Netanyahu's decision to delay the release of 600 Palestinian prisoners, was completely unnecessary. Yeah. For the record, I also had a similar position on this matter, as you guys know, where I said that while Israel is also escalating the conflict in Gaza, and from what I understand, has mobilized troops as well, that and also are entering the West Bank. In terms of like the appetite that they have for more war and more conflict in Gaza is limited. And I think that that is what will motivate the Israeli leadership and the war cabinet to potentially move into the second phase. It has nothing to do with like the morality. Obviously, Israel's an apartheid state conducting a genocide that is the most immoral you can be. Okay. Meanwhile, Israel is busy conducting strikes in southern Syria. Its jets attack military targets in southern Syria, including headquarters and sites containing weapons. The presence of military means and forces in southern part of Syria pose a threat to the citizens of the state of Israel, the military said in a statement. On Monday, international fugitive Prime Minister Netanyahu had demanded the full demilitarization of southern Syria from troops of the new Syrian regime in the Quneitra, Daraa, and Suwaida provinces. Yeah, they want to demilitarize the entirety of southern Syria. Following Netanyahu's statements yesterday on southern Syria, Defense Minister Katz has just said that the region will be demilitarized, and he has now declared it a security zone. We know what that means. The southern countryside is being pounded with bombs and Israeli occupying ground forces are moving fast. This deadass is the same excuse Putin used to invade Ukraine. They have bases close to us. I mean, dude. Why do you think Vladimir Putin cried to Tucker Carlson and said, why can't we be your Israel, please? What does it mean? Wait, what do you mean? What does it mean? They're just going to do more fucking land grabs by saying we have security concerns. When Israel has never not had security concerns. Everything is a security concern. We had to do the Nakba because of security concerns. We had to expand and do territorial acquisition in the West Bank because of security concerns. Okay? Everything's a fucking security concern to Israel. It's only Israel's security that matters. That's it. We have to expand into southern Lebanon again. Security concerns. Yeah, see, look. Israel Defense Minister just made an announcement before the IDF chief. We will not allow southern Syria to become southern Lebanon. Syria's number one security threat is Israel, from exploitation of minorities to illegal use of force. I fear occupation is next. Israel Defense Minister says any attempt by the Syrian regime forces to establish themselves in the security zone in southern Syria will be met with fire. Everything is a fucking security concern. That's what, you know, that's always how Israel operates. Is a sovereign ass fucking country. What do you mean demilitarized? I'm a Syrian and the rage I feel, man. Oh, dude. I mean, what did you expect what did you expect to happen? HTS will have to capitulate. There's numerous other parties at play here that will come out and speak out against it. I'm sure that the Turkish government will say, what the fuck are you doing? You're not allowed to do this, okay? As they're cutting their own deal with HTS. Everybody wants a peace. Israel always has the mentality of the greatest defense is constantly being on the offense. See? Yeah. Turkey says Israeli occupation of Syria is expansionist. Wow. Look at that. Hakan Fidan, Turkish foreign minister, says instead of a two-state solution, Netanyahu is looking to expand territory into Lebanon, Syria, and West Bank. Don't worry. They got Zelensky out there. Okay? He's gonna fix it. He got hit with the Zelensky beam. Anti-imperialist Erdogan. Yeah, Erdogan. Erdo Goat. Put some respect on his name, okay? Put some respect on Erdo Goat's name. Hey, I mean, it's better than ISIS. Honestly, I'd rather have Israel and Syria than ISIS, Russia, and Turkey. The fuck? Wait. First of all, how about none of those countries in Syria? I thought that was what the revolution was supposed to be about. That's number one. And number two, why in the ever-loving fuck would you say that Israel is better? I'm Kurdish, so they all fucking hate us? Oh my God. How many times? Israel is ISIS, okay? What the fuck are you talking about? Then ISIS, question mark, question mark? Yes, dude. Israel and ISIS are very similar, okay? Yeah, sure. Israel has a higher grade of weapons that they use, okay? They're not throwing gay people off the roofs because they're putting the fucking roof down on top of the gay people. The difference is, you know, I guess optically one is state violence. Also, Israel and ISIS are fucking allies. God damn it. How many times do Kurds need to get fucked over by Western forces for them to understand this very important lesson that they don't give a fuck about you, dog? Yeah, but I just have a soft spot against Islamic terror organizations. No. Trust, dude. This time is different. Israel will definitely defend you guys. It's gonna happen next time. Okay? Next time. Fell for it again award once again. Israel famously is very cool and will totally be on board with whatever kind of Kurdish autonomy you think you can build. Certainly. Definitely. Israel famously always is forgiving of ethnic minorities that want to have a crumb of autonomy. White House says that the large bruise on Trump's hand is from shaking hands all day, every day. That's crazy. Yeah, no one who has ever existed next to Israel thinks it's good for Israel to occupy your land. Exactly. There is no, like, literally look at the West Bank. What are you saying? Dude, imagine being like, nah, dog, you don't understand. The West Bank is awesome. I can't wait for Israel to West Bankify Syria. It's certainly going to be good for us. Like, this isn't to say that Bashar al-Assad is good or anything, but god damn, Chatter. Yeah, Chatter wants the JDL to do some terror for a change. He's like, you know, we did the ISIS stuff. It wasn't good. Let's get the JDL involved this time. He has a bruise from jorking it. Anyway, Israel's track record of dominating ethnic minorities has been excellent. It's going to be really good this time, I promise. What is this? Chris Rufo is 4chan posting. There's a battalion of male to female transgenders within the American intelligence apparatus. They hate Italians and lives at TikTok. They fantasize about pseudo vaginas and butthole lasers. They are in charge of the most sophisticated spying machine in human history. Wait, what? Why do they hate Italians? The only correct answer is envy. I agree with you on this one. No. There is no way this is real. The current CEO of Twitter, Linda Yaccarino, did not respond to a tweet from the Manhattan Institute's very own Christopher Rufo talking about butthole lasers and said, I agree with you on this one. Here's this quote. If ISIS attacks against Jews in Europe continue, resulting in more Jewish casualties than Israeli ones, it will become harder for Israel's government to keep the ISIS threat at its current low priority. What the fuck is going on? It is real. Jesus Christ. Oh, God. Incredible stuff. For the chatter who prefers Israel as a minority, Israel has confiscated 85% of the land belonging to the Druze, and since 1987, the Druze have been facing a housing crisis like other Palestinian towns because Israel refuses to give us building permits and return our lands, and now 500,000 homes are under the threat of demolition. Well, I don't get it. But the Druze serve in the IDF. They're supposed to be equal. Israel's not an apartheid state. What? That's crazy. Yeah, this person has some smoke for Ethan as well. When Ethan said he's going to go to visit Israel and show how multicultural and wonderful it is. Oh, yes. Let me, an American Israeli Jew, tell you how incredibly free and multicultural Israel is. Ignore the human rights organizations. Don't look at the second-class Palestinian citizens, and definitely don't think about Gaza or West Bank. Just enjoy the vibrant democracy. Yeah, I'm just going to the ethno state, man. What is it? What the fuck? I don't understand. I'm just visiting Poland, guys. Calm down. As an American German, as an ethnic American German, I'm just visiting Poland. What's the problem? It's a vibrant, multiracial, multi-ethnic democracy. Hello? Things are great there. I'm going to hang out in an interesting zone, a zone of interest, if you will. It's literally zone of interest. Yeah, Rubio sanctions no more Cuban doctors to poor countries, which is, again, incredible stuff. Here it is. Cuba's doctors save lives in poor countries, so of course the U.S. government opposes them. Marco Rubio announces sanctions against anybody involved in the program that sends Cuban doctors to poor countries where they provide free medical care. So what? Iran, Turkey, Iraq, Syria, ISIS, Saudi, Iran is going to, you say Iran twice, is going to grant us autonomy? Bro, I don't like Israel at all, but I like them a bit more than ISIS and Turkey. You unironically have an easier go at it with half of those fucking countries that you mentioned. Okay? Straight up. Like, Turkey is a great example of this, okay? Turkey is ruthless and oppressive and violent towards Kurdish minority populations and also simultaneously ruthless and violent towards Kurds in Syria, especially so. And even then, look at the way Israel treats Palestinians, brother. What are you talking about? Are you going to tell me that Turkish treatment of Kurds, where you have literal citizenship, is still unacceptable, mind you, still unacceptable, but you think it's better than fucking Gaza? I mean, you think it's worse than Gaza? Is that what you think? Are you insane? Like, what are we talking about? There's unimaginable levels of propaganda about how great Israel is, so Druze and Kurds don't blame him. Even my family thinks Israel's better. Oh, my Lord. Americans have fucked over Kurds time and time again. It's shocking to me that, like, Kurds still look at that and go, nah, we just have a good alliance here. They'll help us next time around. Not realizing that Kurds being stateless is more beneficial to America.
Musk's order. Listen here.
So what they're doing is they're trying to find out who's working for the government. Are we paying other people that aren't working? And, you know, where's all that? Where's the money going? There was a lot of genius in sending it. We're trying to find out if people are working. And so we're sending a letter to people. Please tell us what you did last week. If people don't respond, it's very possible that there is no such person or they're not working.
There appears to be no deadline set for a second response. We'll see if we get more clarity later today. Lauren, Steve, Ainsley, and Brian.
See, that last word, clarity.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a lot of that. Madeline, so for the federal employees who are watching right now, what are they supposed to do?
You know, we'll see. We'll see later on today if we get more answers from the White House, from the president. Look, if you listen to the OPM email, what they'll say is that they're not taking a one-size-fits-all approach to this. The administration says they'll take into account the differences among the different agencies. They'll work with the different agencies, and they're taking into things like confidentiality reasons, for example, which President Trump says was the reason, for example, that the FBI and the DOD, why they might not be responding to this email right now. So they'll take those factors into account. The White House is downplaying the notion that there is a division between the OPM and Musk here. They say at the end of the day, the administration is working together to create more efficiency among federal workers. But again, like you said, Steve, there is no doubt that there are a lot of federal workers who are confused by this, and they are hoping to get more answers later on today.
All right, Madeline. Thank you very much.
Well, Elon posted, he said the email request was utterly trivial, as the standard for passing the test was to type some words and press send. Yet so many failed even that inane test, urged on in some cases by their managers. Have you ever witnessed such incompetence and contempt for how your taxes are being spent? Makes old Twitter look good. Didn't think that was possible. The problem is the federal workers are getting these mixed messages, and it seems to be a turf war by some of the agency leaders, the new agency leaders, and Elon Musk. Now, Donald Trump said yesterday, look, all we're trying to do is make sure these people are actually working, that there are actual people, like the Social Security sending out checks to people that are 140 years old. Well, that doesn't exist. So they're just making sure that these positions are filled by live bodies. And so we're not sending money to people, paychecks to people who don't exist. But the problem is you have Office of Personnel Management. They're saying it's voluntary. You won't be fired if you don't respond. You have Kash Patel with the FBI saying pause responses. We're in charge of employee reviews. And then you have Kristi Noem with Department of Homeland Security saying don't respond. So what
do you know what else makes old Twitter look good? Current Twitter. This is true. It's so funny that Elon Musk is so hands-on with this administration, because I directly used that example of like what happens as an analog. I used to use old Twitter versus new Twitter as like what happens when Republicans are in charge versus what happens when Democrats are in charge. Both are incompetent, but one is like clearly worse than the other. And now Elon Musk is literally doing that to the fucking administrative state. So that analogy turned into reality. Crazy stuff.
are you supposed to do?
Right, exactly. So who's running the show?
Well, the president gave them some cover yesterday as well. Remember, a lot of these same agencies, whether you're talking about the Defense Department.
Genocide Joe 100 times worse than Trump. Yeah, Trump famously definitely not on board with endless genocide. You're right. Like, I hate Genocide Joe, but you don't have to fucking lie about Donald Trump. You don't have to say that Donald Trump is better. He ended 2 wars. Respect. You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right. My bad. My bad, bro. You're right. I forgot. Yeah, remember yesterday or the week prior when Donald Trump was saying we should just do a peaceful ethnic displacement in Gaza. It's free real estate. That was incredible. That was the most peaceful any war-ending president has ever been. Sorry you got cooked like that. I know. He fucked me up, dude. He did. Put some respect on it. Donald Trump said, no more war. There is no more war if we kill everyone. If we forcibly displace everyone, then there won't be war anymore. He said final solution means no more war.
As well as transportation as well, have invited Doge into their department. Right. So they're not anti-Doge. What they're saying is the information that's going out, there's some security measures that need to put in place for that. So
also, while we're having this conversation, Israel's talking about 40,000 displaced in the West Bank. You know, tanks are rolling through the streets in occupied Palestinian territory, mind you.
Want to coordinate the response of this.
So, so there's a lot of people who are going to be let go in a lot of different agencies. I know the transportation has let some people go. Now the VA, Doug Collins, has dismissed more than 1,400 employees with non-mission critical positions. Others in transportation were let go who did not have safety implications day to day. And that's what's happening, too. Just about everywhere, if you're probationary, they're looking to let you go. And I think the overarching headline is we have to cut the federal workload. It's 2.7 million. It's got to get less. The question is now, that was a speech the president gave at CPAC. The president, Elon Musk, saw it and said, I hear you, Mr. President. I put him at this email. And the president said yesterday, I like the idea of an email, but I just think next time, very easy. A lot of these people are Elon Musk's personal friends. Hey, I'm going to send out an email, and it's going to go to all the divisions. Are you okay with this? Right. Because Kash Patel was only on the job 2 days. He can't have FBI agents who maybe miscommunicated being excessed. Same with Tulsi Gabbard. She's like, I really can't do this, so I'm going to back out. It doesn't mean they're fighting. It just means they just make a little bit more of an effort to coordinate.
Well, yeah, and that's the key.
Growth pains, baby steps. They're not fighting. It's fine. Come on.
I think a lot of it with the State Department and the FBI and the national security apparatus is they don't want their boss, they don't want somebody at a laptop somewhere putting out, okay, these are the 5 classified things I did last week. Because there was an email that went out yesterday from.
I love the way that I love this is the sickest way to, you're right. Very cool way to run the federal government. It's just like, fuck it. We'll figure it out later.
HSS, Health and Human Services, an email to the staff and said, if you reply, assume that what you write will be read by malign foreign actors, so tailor your responses accordingly. What's curious, though, I don't know if you guys saw.
Some clarity by Trump. It's voluntary, but if you don't answer, I guess you get fired.
Hopefully once and for all what your expectations are with this email to federal employees.
No, you see, you don't understand. You get semi-fired. Oh, you wanted clarity? You get semi-fired if you don't answer the email.
What are you going to use that information for? And do you see it as voluntary, like OPM has said, or mandatory?
Yeah, well, it's somewhat voluntary, but it's also if you don't answer, I guess you get fired.
Thank you for the clarity, Mr. President. This really clears things up for everyone.
What it really is do people
I'm still
exist?
lost on that.
We have this massive government with millions of people, and nobody knows who's working for the government, who's not. So what they're doing is they're sending out a letter to everybody, and they're saying, what were the things you did last week? I guess they ask for 5. And if people are working, it's easy. I could tell you 5 things I did last week. I could tell you 5 things I did 6 weeks ago, right?
Can you clarify?
You're
saw this
fired.
or not, but there was a hearing yesterday regarding Doge access to Treasury records, and the government attorney representing the White House was asked by the judge, so who exactly is running Doge? Who is the administrator? And the attorney for the federal government said, I don't exactly know. I don't have that answer. So it's kind of like, what is the flow chart for the person who's running Doge? Elon Musk has been described as an advisor to the president.
Well, I think it's a flat organization. This is not an organ, and I think Washington.
What is this? So if I'm reading this correctly, the White House controlled by Trump and State Department controlled by Rubio approved these aid payments. Hold on one second. Then some nerds hired by Elon kept stopping them. So basically they created an entire new deep state. It's great stuff. It's cool. You don't understand. This is a good thing. It's good to create a additional government agency to. It's always good to create a redundancy to reduce redundancy in the federal government. And then that redundancy reducing agency ends up creating more redundant policies. Okay, this is a normal and good thing.
Is so used to this org chart with this person. Essentially, you have all these people that are across agencies reporting back to Elon Musk, who then goes back to the president and he makes the final decision on it. I just want them to be able to do their job. It looks like they're doing a great job. There's some bumps in the road. The last thing I would say this, because I've been getting a lot of emails from federal employees. I understand why some of you guys are feeling the heat and you're being lumped into the basket of all the other federal employees that Americans have distrust for. We're not talking about you. We understand that there are career people that just want to do their job, that love their country. But you have to understand, it is a bipartisan thing. When you look at the latest polling, independents, Democrats, as well as Republicans, all feel like there's some inefficiency in our government. Sure. And I apologize that you guys are being lumped in. You want to do your job. But something has to give here, just like in the private sector.
Argentina's doing it, and that's what they did. And they put, I mean, they had 110% inflation. It was a joke. So this guy came in. That's that leader who gave him the chainsaw. So he's trying to do the same thing. And I just think the more you realize, Musk's agency is the only way to do it. Yeah. Because if you do it through normal committee meetings and oversight, it ends up being a report that nobody does. Yeah. Remember the Erskine Bowles, the Bowles report. Yeah. They looked at government's inefficiency for 18 months, the Simpson Bowles. Right. And they looked at it. It was pretty comprehensive. Yeah. But you know what Barack Obama looked at it and goes, this will never pass. He put it on the back burner. Right. These guys got paid for 18 months. So he's just saying, I need somebody on the outside, doesn't need to be elected, to go in and make some tough decisions.
I think all Elon wants to do is take Brian Kilmeade. Brian would send an email that would say, I did Fox and Friends on Monday, and I did radio on Monday. On Tuesday, I did Fox and Friends. I did radio Wednesday. Yeah, just 1 week of what you did, just to make sure you're a live body and you're a real person. I understand what you're saying. You do feel for the federal workers that are getting lumped in and are worried about losing their jobs. But I think the purpose of this is not necessarily, if you respond to the email, it sounds like you have a good chance of surviving at the workplace.
Yeah, but then again, if your advisor says don't do it, that's so complicated.
Yeah.
No amount of cult-like loyalty to Trump and conservative principles is going to cause a Republican federal government employee to watch this piece of coverage and not think, how about you out-of-touch multimillionaires fucking lose your jobs, dickhead? What do you mean? Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Just write an email and you'll probably be spared. There is no way, dude. There is no shot.
Ultimately, this is going to be tied up in courts for a while. Yeah. And in fact, some of the people...
Thank God. It's going to be tied up in the courts anyway, so you won't lose your job in the interim. Oh, great. But I thought the courts were woke and gay for stopping the Trump administration's boulder. What happened? No, the courts are great now because it's stopping us from killing ourselves. Thank God. I have a really cool solution. Are you ready? It's called Don't Erroneously Dismantle the Administrative State. How about that? I know. Nope, sorry, can't be done. We have to do it. Impossible. Impossible. We must do it.
People who've brought lawsuits have prevailed, where I saw yesterday a group of employees, probationary employees who were fired last week, got a 45-day stay as they take a look at it. Ultimately, Democrats and others say that it's unconstitutional. You need the power of Congress to close agencies and things like that. But I'll tell you, over the last 5 days, I've been down in Texas, and I talked to a lot of people down there who are not part of the federal government. Right. But they've either got a family member or an in-law or a friend, or they know a guy who got that letter.
But y'all, the majority of the country supports the cuttings.
I get that instantly. But if you got the letter, you were just very, very concerned, and you're worried about the future. Who knows whether or not those people will be let go?
Well, the Consumer Bureau, was put out there by Elizabeth Warren. Yeah. The whole division was cut. Oh, that's been controversy when Trump was in the first time. Yeah, from the very beginning. So Elizabeth Warren is not happy with that, and she's having all these meetings about all the vitriol is flying about what how the Musk people don't know what they're doing. They're just cutting out. They're just trying to get tax cuts for billionaires. Brett Cooper was on, I think, with you.
Yes.
Yesterday.
So she has tons of more than a million.
I like that they can never actually say what the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau does. So they constantly have to present it as like, well, Elizabeth Warren likes it and you hate her, right? So think about how good it is that we cut it. This is probably, to a certain degree, unfortunately, successful propaganda.
million followers, 1.2 million on Instagram, on YouTube, 1.4. When she had a show, her podcast, 8 million, 9 million people would listen to it. So she was on with us. She's a Gen Zer. She's young. She's in her early 20s, and she's become very successful. She was a COVID student in college. When she graduated, didn't know what she was going to do. Started working for PragerU, and then her career just built because so many people like what she's saying. She's a conservative. She said she voted for Trump, and she said this is why more young people voted for Trump than Kamala.
I think we were just ready for something new, especially after Biden, because obviously the system wasn't working. And so in looking at my generation, I think that they realized, like, let's burn it down, basically. Let's try something new. We're willing to walk away from what we've known and what we've been told is empathetic and inclusive and correct and, you know, what young people should believe. And we were willing to try something new. MAGA is, you know, the raging against the machine. And young people are rebellious and they're willing to try something new.
Well, I can't blame her generation or my generation. You got folks that can't afford a house, but we're sending money to foreign governments and all. I mean, it just doesn't feel well. And I think that the Democrats, they're arguing, the argument that they make is process. They're not targeting the issue of waste, fraud, and abuse. You had Jasmine Crockett, she went on Charlamagne's The Breakfast Club and said, and he asked her, do you think that waste and fraud is a big issue? And she goes, not at all. That is not a mainstream point of view, even for people in her party. So you can stand with the workers that are for our federal government and say, look, I want a fair process for you. But you have to understand, most Americans want cuts to happen. Right. And if you keep being on the other side, you're going to find yourself... We're almost to the midterms already. That started the moment Donald Trump was elected. If you run on that, you're going to lose again.
Yeah. So I think we're going to see a lot of it splayed out for the public today with, you know, and Brian was mentioning how they're going to have a forum today, Senator Warren, with the Consumer Financial Protection Board. Keep in mind, it was Elon Musk who said, what was it? Whatever that acronym is, CFPB, RIP. That was a week or two ago. He obviously wants to get rid of it. Interestingly enough, and this would be great to see, Elizabeth Warren has invited Elon Musk. Okay, we're going to have this forum. You come on here and explain how people are going to be protected from unscrupulous lenders if this goes away. So it would be great to see that happen.
71% of students ages 18 to 25 support Doge, and 62%.
71% of students ages 18 to 25 hate the Consumer Financial Protections Bureau.
Found a strong majority of all Americans support Doge efforts to reduce waste, fraud,
Right.
and
People
abuse.
like the idea of cutting waste. You just don't like it when it gets to their backyard.
Right. That's right.
They want to cut programs, social programs.
Okay. Let's look at the CFPB.
In his role.
I wonder why a bunch of fucking billionaires want to defund the police. Financial fucking deserved it, and they actually deserved more than what they got. The entire point of the CFPB is to go after fucking fraudulent, predatory lenders, okay? Yeah, sorry that you're friends with a bunch of fucking corporate demons and super rich people that were running away with American consumers' money, okay? It's literally a police force that works to police the banks. That's it. It's so fucking stupid. And he just gets to say this, and nobody even goes, excuse me, sir, here are the list of companies that actually, and the exact instances of fraud that CFPB tackled. Like,
yeah, because we're trying to get...
I'm so glad that a bunch of autistic teenagers who were clever enough to dupe the likes of Elon Musk and many others to make it seem as though they're fucking brilliant are tasked with erroneously dismantling aspects of the goddamn federal government. It's awesome. Okay? Sick. Great stuff, man. The type of dumbasses that are like, yeah, we did Sigma grind set. 7 of us lived in the same 1-bedroom apartment on cots and created a new disruptive app that allows the rich one in our group to be able to purchase Airbnbs and then, you know, lease them out or whatever. They're looking at, that's the problem. Okay. This is like a highly specialized, you would have to be a highly specialized worker, professional, to be able to figure out what you're looking at and where to make these cuts. This is before we even, you know, this is before we even entertain the notion that cuts are supposed to fucking happen. No, you can't just have like a random 20-year-old dickhead go through this and be like, well, they did cyber. I cannot begin to explain to you how insane what we're looking at is. No specialization. These aren't like forensic auditors. These aren't forensic accountants. These aren't fucking auditors. They're just random dickheads who probably won a hackathon, and Elon Musk, or I don't know, one of Peter Thiel's fucking cronies was there, and we're like, this guy's brilliant. He's got a real head on his shoulders. And now they're overseeing the dismantling of the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. I can't begin to explain how absurd this is. Okay? I don't care about their age. Make no mistake. I care about their qualifications. And the fact that they have none. You can't just go in and be like, yeah, I'm just going to fire people erroneously. You can't do that. I mean, you can, but there will be consequences for it. Except in the case of the CFPB, they don't care. They like that they're just ripping through that agency because CFPB is only good for the public and bad for corporations that want to scam the public. I like these guys were doing a good job keeping the banks, etc. in check. What the fuck are you talking about? Yes, they were. They have a limited scope and limited authority. And within the limited authority and scope they had, they were doing a great fucking job. Like, they were doing such a great job that even something that impacted me when I was fucking broke, okay, was, here, I'll give you a very, very famous example of this. Back when I was broke as a Bank of America, as someone who uses Bank of America for my banking, I would realize that when my account was about to hit $0 and I had made multiple purchases, and the last one that could potentially go under $0, I would get hit with numerous fucking overdraft fees all of a sudden. Even if I didn't actually purchase things in that exact same hierarchy, in that exact same, I don't know what the fucking word is. Okay? Let's say you got $35 remaining in your account, okay? You purchase one thing in that order. Okay, thank you. I forgot the word order. My brain is so busted. The way that Bank of America worked is that they had a fucking algorithm that would see if you were near overdraft, like if you were near $0 in your bank account, and it would basically farm the highest, like the most expensive purchase that you made first and process that first in order to make sure that you actually hit $0 and then process each individual thing that you purchased after the fact, regardless of your order of purchase. The reason why they did that was because every single time you bought something, once you went to $0, you would get hit with a fucking $35 overdraft fee. The CFPB went and said, that's illegal. And not just for Bank of America, but all other banks were using this process. Yeah, $30 in the bank. You buy $10 of stuff at 1 p.m. and then you buy $35 at 2 p.m. They swap the order so you get 2 overdrafts. PNC settles overdraft fee case for $90 million. PNC Financial Services Group, one of the 10 largest U.S. banks, has agreed to pay $90 million to settle lawsuits accusing of its charging excessive overdraft fees. The Pittsburgh-based lender joined Bank of America, JP Morgan, and several smaller banks in settling litigation over the fees, which are typically assessed when customers overdraw their checking accounts by using debit cards. The settlement was reached on Monday and made public on Tuesday. It requires approval by the U.S. District Judge James Lawrence King in Miami. The cases accuse banks of reordering customer transactions from largest to smallest rather than processing them in chronological order. Customers said this allowed the bank to charge overdraft fees, which are typically $25 to $35, faster and more often because account balances fell faster. Bank of America's $410 million settlement is the largest so far. You know who prosecuted this? You know who went after the banks in this situation? The motherfucking CFPB. This is exactly what they do. This is their job. You're using something they did 12 years ago as a basis for their productivity today? No, you fucking dingus. I'm using that as an example because it's something that fucking impacted me. I'm giving you a personal story of how the CFPB actually improved my fucking life when I was broke. Okay? Oh my God! You are so stupid! Show me something from more recent, please. CFPB announces return of $1.8 billion in illegal junk fees to 4.3 million Americans harmed in massive credit repair scheme. Payment to victims of Lexington Law and CreditRepair.com are the largest ever distribution from the CFPB's Victims Relief Fund. Is that not recent enough? That was in December 5th, 2024. You can go to their website and look at enforcement actions, by the way. All of this is readily available to you. But all you want to do is fucking chirp. So now that I've shown you something more recent, are you going to shut the fuck up and be like, yeah, maybe this is good? Dude, I'm asking questions. You're acting like I'm giving a speech and know what I'm talking about. Dude, what is going on with fucking chatters? No, asking questions is, hey, Hassan, I don't fully understand what the CFPB does. Can you explain it to me? And then when I do explain it to you, you go, oh, thank you. I now understand it. You didn't do that. You went, the CFPB doesn't even do anything, dude. That's not a question. That's you making a stupid fucking statement. And then I actually went through the steps of explaining to you exactly what the CFPB does by giving you a personal experience. Okay? Then you doubled down and said, that's from 2012. Show me something from the past couple of years. You changed the fucking goalposts. Okay? You are not here to learn, or at least the only way you can learn things is if by being a fucking dickhead in the chat. God damn. Why can't people just be like, no, actually, I just wanted to be fucking annoying because I'm stupid and don't understand anything. And I just wanted to fucking be annoying in the chat because, you know, I wanted to feel like I'm alive. Dude, I'm asking questions. You're acting like I'm giving a speech. Yeah, you don't know what you're talking about. Stop fucking baiting if you don't know what you're talking about. I will always be gracious to you and try to explain to you the situation. But goddamn, dude, why the fuck would you come in with that energy of like, well, you're wrong all the time, actually? You know? Okay, sure, you know best. In this instance, I do. I mean, I do. What more can we say here? Yes, I am a very stupid person, but in this situation, yes, I objectively know more than you. What the fuck? It's okay. It's fine. I'm sure you know a lot about things that I have no fucking clue on. If you were to tell me a Path of Exile skill tree, I would shut the fuck up. I wouldn't turn around and be like, nah, dog, your skill tree is busted. I don't know shit. Okay? I came in playing devil's advocate and you blew a gasket? All right, banned, dumbass. What do you mean devil's advocate, dude? What the fuck is this? Wait, he's Canadian? Oh my God, I'm gonna unban him just to ban him again. Oh my God, we are gonna invade your fucking country now, okay? We're gonna invade your country and destroy your healthcare, you fucking asshole. I was just playing devil's advocate, dude. Fucking dumbass. Get excited. We're going to fucking cook your healthcare before Ontario actually ends up doing it. All right? God damn, dude. Imagine having some semblance of social safety nets and then traveling over here on the internet to just like LARP as a fucking dumbass American hog. What the fuck is wrong with Canadians, man? What is wrong with Canadians? Why are they like this? You know exactly what type of Canadians I'm talking about, by the way. Not all of the Canadians in the chat fucking getting mad. You know exactly what the fuck you're doing, okay? Canadians that actually enjoy the expansive social safety nets that they still currently have love shipping their dumbest, most reactionary baboons to the United States of fucking America. Holy shit, Kaya. Place. Steven Crowder, Jordan Peterson, Brett Stevens, Faith Goldie, that fucking Shark Tank dipshit, the bald one. What the hell? What the hell is this? Ted Cruz. Why aren't you talking about Northern Lion? Because good Canadians don't fucking come down here. That's why I'm not talking about Northern Lion, okay? Because all we get is fucking Kevin O'Leary. If it was only Northern Lion and Pokemon, I'd be happy. I'd be like, oh, thank God. Thank God for Canadian migration. But all we get is Kevin fucking O'Leary or Tom McDonald. Even Elon Musk, technically, you could say, is Canadian. The CFPB provided $20 billion in consumer relief and $5 billion in civil money penalties. And they did that with a $1 billion budget. Except they didn't even use the entire budget. They did that for $250 million. The CFPB is one of the best examples of what the government is supposed to do, a good government initiative. It makes me so mad. Bro, unpin that Chatter's cold corpse. I was going to do a Severance joke, but Megaphonics spammed it dead. Yep. When you guys are trying to do a Severance joke, when you hear Severance being mentioned, think, am I behaving like Megaphonics? Think. The answer is yes. Number one wife.
Industry, that maybe they can get away with cheating people. 21 Doge employees.
I want to mention something here. I saw a lot of chatters making fun of the dude's like speech pattern. Okay. Dog. That's exactly the type of dude I want tasked with going after banks. Okay. I don't want him to be charismatic with coiffed hair. I want him to be a real ass nerd. Okay. I want him to be the most autistic man with the actual qualifications, not simply autistic and won a fucking hackathon at Silicon Valley and now actually throws it back for Peter Thiel on the weekends. And that's why he got a job at fucking Doge. Okay? I don't give a fuck that that dude is like having a hard time communicating. His job is not to be charismatic. His job is to go after fraudulent and wasteful corporations that are fucking over the public.
Signing a letter announcing their resignation en masse. That letter being sent to Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. Now, these Doge employees, they are, to our understanding, they were holdover employees that worked at the U.S., what was one time the U.S. Digital Service that through the executive order that President Trump signed on Inauguration Day, turned into the Doge unit inside the executive office of the president. And in that letter, they're very specific, saying, quote, "We will not use our skills as technologists to compromise core government systems, jeopardize American sensitive data, or dismantle critical public services. We will not lend our expertise to carry out or legitimize Doge's actions." The Doge effort becoming even more consolidated around Elon Musk in those.
Bro, the Doge went woke. Look at that. The Doge kids went woke. They were like, yeah, no, this is a bridge too far, man. We're good.
Individuals that he brought in from the outside to execute this mission.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.
See, look at how efficient. Look at how efficient Doge is. It's so efficient, it's eliminating itself. Oh my God, I'm sorry. That was an insane burp.
Damn, this guy's good.